I always have to take a second to hit the unmute button. I need to like do a macro where if I switch over, just unmutes. What's up, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I am here with Johnny for the Best Gaming Podcast number 576, where we're going to cover Resident Evil reviews, some marathon. It's almost past the finish line, dude. Can you believe that?
We're about to go post
marathon. We're going to be at the end of this year. We're going to be post everything.
Yeah.
Oh,
you know how you have the AD, or
the AD.
You know, it's going to be a new era after marathon AM.
Yeah, so this was brought up by Solar. He's like, I got to go find another game to be interested in, and then, then he said Elder Scrolls, and I was like, dude, do you seriously think that's coming out soon enough to be your next game that you're super excited for? Because I think you're going to be woefully surprised by how long it takes for that game to come out. But yeah, it's crazy, man. We're going to be post everything. It was crazy enough to be post Cyberpunk, post Dragon's Dogma 2. I remember, you know, wanting Dragon's Dogma 2 for the longest period of time and being like, yeah, that's just, you know, it's never going to happen. And here we are post Dragon's Dogma 2, dude, we're post, like what after GTA, what's the next post? Like,
I think we can't even see past GTA now because it's such a big milestone.
Right.
We can't even think after GTA.
I mean, yeah, I don't even know what my post GTA thought process is because, dude, Elder Scrolls, I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous. There was like, we had a huge chat last night. I don't remember what we were chatting about. What were we? Oh, people were, bullshit, I guess. But anyway, oh no, I know what we were talking about. It was behind the scenes. But about YouTube stuff. But we were in there and people were talking about, yeah, they want, you know, Elder Scrolls is one. Then they did remind me that GTA Online isn't coming out day one, you know. So you've got some waste there, a little bit of like Witcher 4. Spooner says Witcher 4. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Witcher 4. Yeah, Witcher. I could see that. You know, Witcher 4 sold a lot, but when you look at the total number of gamers, you're like, okay, that didn't sell shit. But that would be the one for, probably for me. Post Star Citizen. Yeah, I mean, we will be Post Star Citizen in.
Will we?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or it's like the pirate that just passes on it's fully, his own name.
It's fully, it's fully in its go mode. Like the amount of stuff that's happening is ridiculous. Like, and it'll be interesting to see how a game like that spins over a period of time. Like, let's say $1 billion. And then a game like GTA, which spends a good amount of time, spends their $1 billion, and what you get out of them. You know, what's up, Blaze? What you end up getting out of that is going to be awesome. It didn't give you a notification for the chat. Let me check. Or YouTube. Let me see if public. Its privacy is public. Sorry, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I did get one on my side because I'm always checking.
Okay. He got one on his side. So, you're right. What the
But YouTube,
YouTube.
You know, yeah. Sometimes.
Do you know why? I know why. It thinks I'm spam because I did a post, then the Requiem video, and then the post. And so
is it still like that? It counts your posts?
Yeah, it counts the posts. It's fucking bullshit.
Come
is
on,
what
guys.
It is. What's up? Name invalid, Chris, Robert, Kig. Another Robert, same Robert, probably. No, different Robert. Different Roberts. I got to get that right. Dastardly Deagle, what's up? How's the week been?
It's been pretty solid. Nothing too crazy. I felt like it just went by very fast, actually.
Like, just you didn't know what day it was, or because you were busy, or you were smoking, or like what?
I was a bit busy at work. I was also, I guess I was just kind of busy at work, and everything just flowed by when I noticed it was already like Thursday. So we're almost done already.
I spent all of Thursday thinking it was Wednesday, so I would agree. Yeah. I'm going to put some options in here for big games. Too. Witcher, Star Sit. What were some of the other ones? Star Sit, Elder Scrolls. If I put Elder Scrolls in here, it's going to be number one, but I don't think Elder Scrolls is a good answer, but I'm putting it in the poll answers. What's another one? Witcher, Star Sit, Elder Scrolls, Cyber. I'm not putting Cyberpunk 2. I'm not doing it.
Nah.
What's another like massive,
really big one?
Yeah, like people are just like fucking tons of people wanting it.
It's always tricky because there's like the core audience of gamers that we tend to speak to, and then you have the broad gamers that play like Roblox and Fortnite and stuff.
Yeah, true.
There's a big disconnect.
Multiple people said Fallout 5. I saw that it's in Telegram and on our YouTube. So,
do we know that that's actually being made? Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a feeling, dude. I mean, it takes a certain size of a team. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
the team is crazy. No, we were saying after GTA, not after Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is nowhere near the size of a GTA.
Yeah,
like,
that's kind of what I was talking about, because in our circles, Crimson Desert
in our
is
circle,
huge.
Crimson Desert is huge. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then when you look at the big numbers,
big when you look at like China being involved in Black Myth Wukong.
China.
It's like, yeah. Ask China to be involved. I should just start putting up their flag and being like, all hail Xi Jinping or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
because, like, dude,
apologize to China.
Apologize for everything I do. Be like, I apologize for everything. I support you in everything. Yeah. Well, we are post Requiem, so people are playing that. Reviews were fucking high. Did you see those reviews? Jesus. Let me let me read some of these. Pretty high. Now, admittedly, I wasn't that high. They were definitely so the first 16 reviews were 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10. So
yeah, but you still gave it I
gave it a
full send by.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Critics recommend 95%. That's redonk. That's redonk. That is super high.
Yeah.
88 top critic. It also launched with 200 and some thousand. It's the number one, it's the largest release for them ever for Resident Evil. So it definitely did well. I'm going to read some of the, just a little excerpt. This PC gamer, Resident Evil Requiem, sets itself out with a hard task, wrapping all the best elements of previous Resident Evil games into one. It's a miracle that it succeeds with very few moments, which left me wanting more. Eurogamer, 5 out of 5. Capcom marks Resident Evil's 30th anniversary with a stellar return that's a masterful bit of suffocating horror and nostalgic fan-thrilling victory lap. A fan-thrilling victory lap for the legendary series. Okay, that's wow. Anyway, The Gamer, Jade King. While I can't speak in specifics, Capcom has once again assembled multiple new pieces on the series board that I cannot wait to see it start moving. I want to see where these beloved characters go. That's a good point. Yeah. Game Informer, Wesley. He says, and now with its secrets exposed to me and its mazes awaiting my mastery of them, Requiem is also the name of my favorite Resident Evil. See, that's good.
Wow. That's cool.
I want to say how much I appreciate that writing, because it doesn't sound like all the rest. And the word exposed. Giant Bomb, Dan says, Resident Evil Requiem is an excellent culmination of everything Capcom has learned during 30 years of making this franchise, and it serves as a tantalizing glimpse of what its future may hold. And then there's many more. I mean, it's lots and lots of 10s. I think if people go in not expecting those 10s, but expecting a very good game, you'll be really happy. There's some technical issues that pop up occasionally. They still control like hammered dog shit at times. You get the stoved up look, especially when you're trying to do like Leon or something like that. And you notice that, Leon may be able to spin kick, but he's got a bad back. So like, trying to get past 2 zombies in that game can be ridiculous. So you definitely have those kind of things. Stormlord, what's up, sir? PYG 2500. We figured out that was that Thai? Was that Thailand? PYG, like the ping, the ping, or the. I thought we figured that out one time.
I think that is Paraguayan Guarani.
Paraguay?
So it's from Paraguay.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, thank you very much. Aside from buying a game at launch and or full price, what other ways do gamers have to give their support to the devs or franchises they like? If the game is good, let's, fully say if the game is good, because it's not a charity. Spread the word. Tell other people what you like, and don't just say you like the game. Give people context, because by saying you like the game, you might get somebody to buy the game, and they don't realize that the context in which you like it is completely at odds in the reason somebody else may like it. I think I think context is becoming more and more important now, and we're seeing less and less of it. We're seeing people, I think, use these like talky podcasts, now that the really good teleprompters have turned on, everybody pretending they're not using teleprompters. But you get these teleprompters popping up where people are just blathering about games. That's not really context for a review. So when you're given a review, which you are, if you say you like the game, that's a review. Then don't just throw that, write up a little Twitter blurb on what you like. Don't just say it's fun. Say why it's fun. Context, right? You have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I'm really impressed by how well they did. They always make amazing games, by the way. I've loved all the recent Resident Evils, but this one is sitting at 88 Open Critic. The only thing higher in the last 90 days was Mugenics, which is 89, so very close, and Rhythm Door, which I'm not familiar with, also at 89.
Rhythm Door is a game about you having sex in your bedroom and the door slightly moving and your roommate hammering on it and being like, dude, would you quiet it down, and not realizing you're banging. By the way, true story. Had it twice. John, you know what I'm talking about. John, my roommate.
Yeah, I was going to say that did sound quite specific.
Oh, it was specific.
The way you said it.
I was in my room and I was like hearing bang, bang, bang. And I wasn't even thinking. Of course, I knew he had a girlfriend. Very nice lady. Amazing. She was actually very, very nice. Like, not that having sex doesn't make you nice. I'm just saying, I just guess I was like, they must be in there praying. They must be in there just, they're praying. They're probably, thinking good thoughts. And they're probably doing some kind of mail order thing for Jesus. They weren't religious, by the way. And it was Harry Connick's junior cousin lived with me. And that's who he was, John Connick. I hope he's doing well. I hope you're doing well, John, if you're out there. Let's see. This has been my podcast religiously for many years. ACG has basically become my therapist. For clarity, my game therapist. He says for clarity. But I think he's lying. I think he added the for clarity because he didn't want people being like, well, you're listening to a YouTuber. Right? But in real life, he's waiting for the life advice. Let's be honest. Anybody who mentions that, the life advice, he's waiting for those golden ducats to drop. You getting Resident Evil?
Yeah, for sure. I probably not right now because I'm playing Neo 3. So I'm a bit more on that.
On the kick of Neo
wavelength right now. Yeah, I'll play as much of that as I want to play. I'll see if I finish it, and then probably jump into Resident Evil. Is the next one, I think. It's just a bit tight because we have Crimson Desert, so I need to figure out. I might just jump to that and then circle back to Resident Evil a bit later.
Yeah, and I think because you like their games but aren't forced to play them day one, even if you get a slight spoiler here and there just for the accidental shit that happens, it won't kill you. What's up, Alex?
Yeah. It's also a very specific mood that I kind of need to be in for those games because they are like very different to what I usually play.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So you sort of need to be prepped. So let's discuss
almost like the Halloween mood kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, that was going to be my question, was jump scares. So yesterday I asked a bunch of people if they were going to play the games, and multiple people said they're not going to play this game because they don't like jump scares. They don't mind horror in and of itself, but they don't like jump scares. So is that what stops you from playing a horror game, is the worry of a jump scare, or is it the attitude and atmosphere bringing you down, or is it something else?
I don't know. I've just naturally haven't gravitated too much onto the horror games. I've liked the ones that I've played. I think almost all of them. Mm-hmm. But the ones that I have played have been more on the campy side, like Resident Evil. So not full on trying to scare the pants out of you kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And the thing as well with a lot of those is that the gameplay is very different. It's not as much about action. It's a bit more about like avoiding the bad guy, the ones where you're hiding in the closet kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you don't necessarily have the ability to fight back that much. So those don't call to me as much, I would say.
Do you know what sort of hits me is after a while of playing a really dreary game? It's got to really nail it for me to like feel that dreariness is worth it. Because a dreary movie is 2 hours. A dreary game, if you're reviewing it, even if you're not reviewing it, can be 20 to 50 hours, right? Just depends on the game, depends on what you're doing. So to me, that's what I notice, is that I start to get like that dreary, cloying, you know, and especially if they don't have the story chops of like a Remedy game where there's not something new being introduced, but it's more about like living in this world. The other one that hit me was the game that sort of mimicked Dead Space that came out from Blooper Team.
Yeah, you
Chronos.
reviewed it.
So
Chronos.
with Chronos, I felt that a little bit. I really liked Chronos. There was a lot I liked, at least. However, yeah, it's a little cloying. What about you guys in chat? What do you?
Would you say Resident Evil?
Go ahead.
That Requiem has a strong story, or is it a bit more about just the moment to moment and the atmosphere?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty dreary. Yeah. It's dreary in the way it does its color, DSAT, which is noticeable in this one in particular in some very specific ways. That it's noticeable in its story. There's some dreariness there. There's a difference between that horror that's like you've got a bad guy and something has happened, you have to escape him, and then there's that you've got a bad guy and then there's this organization over the top, and then there's zombies, and then the world has this, and then this blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So why is it called Requiem? It's technically, I guess you would say, the end of this cycle in the Resident Evil story, which is why you hear me when I was reading the reviews, you hear me saying there were multiple people who brought up, we want to see where this goes, because there's more data in this one. There's some story about, you know, the different companies, different bad guys, stuff like that. So it's a good title.
So maybe perhaps last time we see Leon. I guess we can't comment, right? That would be
by actually being strapped to a nuke, and he would somehow.
That thing is indestructible. Yeah.
Apparently, his back can be hurt because he's pretty stiff a lot of times, but in no way, shape, or form is that guy. Yeah, is that guy not coming back, man, all the time. I really like Chronos. Great atmosphere. This Spooner, I don't mind jump scares, but agree with the depressing nature of some games. Why I have a hard time in ARPGs. Every environment is dark and depressing. Absolutely correct. We talked about that last night, too. Diablo, Path of Exile. You're playing those, and they're always... There was one comic cel-shaded ARPG I played years ago. I believe it was called Silver or something to that effect. And that one wasn't dreary. But yeah, most of them are dark. Diablo goes darker and darker. It's probably why I like Diablo 3 so much. Many people didn't. I didn't like the auction house, but I liked the feel of 3. It was a bit more colorful, you know?
Yeah.
Just like...
Funny enough, people hated on that.
I know.
Because they like the... I guess they like the oppressive, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean, look at their trailers.
Gothic.
The blood trailer that they did for Diablo 4, where the chick was in the boat of blood, people are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because it mixes genres too, horror and ARPG.
Yes.
So, you know. And so after a while, you're like, oh my God. And especially because to me, the best is the dichotomy between the more colorful and the evil. So if you have a world that's bright and airy, but it's corrupted, that is another level of creep that is far more than if you have a dark world that's corrupted. If you have a dark world that's corrupted, maybe it speaks towards the history of the world. But if you have a light one and something slightly askew with the graphics, then you have this amazing, really interesting visual of, whoa, like it looks like a place of paradise, which is why Far Cry 2 succeeds, or Far Cry succeeds, because they're tourism gun porn. You go to a place that looks like paradise and is quite literally the opposite of paradise. So those work so well in that way. It's why I feel Far Cry 6 did not succeed, because Far Cry 6 had a very dark, grimy look to it. And people were like, well, this is just a shooter. This is like, it's Gears of War, but we're out and about kind of thing. So,
yeah, interesting how that can go both ways.
Tried the marathon demo. It was actually pretty fun, even though it's not my cup of tea. Alp says Code turned off the marathon demo. I couldn't get that goddamn thing to run. We can jump to marathon, and we can go back to Resident Evil if people have more questions. But yeah, Resident Evil's good. Jumping to marathon, I had the crashes. Other people were. I got it running for like 22 minutes, I think. tops, and it crashed a couple times. What I saw there looked like what we've seen. There's no real surprises with this server slam. So if you already like it, you probably like it as long as these glitches don't continue. They definitely were not what I was expecting, and we seem to get a lot of glitches. So that was my sort of experience with it. I'm not too bothered by glitches in a server slam kind of thing because they're literally telling you we're going to try to break shit. So it's not that, not that surprising. Did you try it? Have you tried it?
Nope. No, not really. I'm going to kind of wait and see.
I think it might be a game that you do wait and see, because the initial numbers are good, but not amazing. And with all the technical issues that are being reported, it might be better to be like, okay, let's, get a patch or two in. That is, unless they fix those, coming up to this. But it's one of those ones where we don't quite know. Those numbers are pretty low for a Bungie game. At least they feel super low because they're barely. I think they're less than Resident Evil by a good amount, but they're also. They were also less than a lot of other games. It was sort of interesting, but Steam concurrent doesn't mean much. I mean, people are on other systems, so take that with a grain of salt. I hate even reporting on them,
What's funny is that I saw some articles saying the numbers were great and were blowing up on Steam, and then others that said the opposite. So it's almost like people can take the same facts and.
I mean, if you go by numbers, it's not blowing up at all. If you go by something else that's not numbers, then maybe it is. But no, it definitely wasn't.
Do you remember what was the numbers. Concurrent
141
peak? I can look it up
or something. Yeah, look it up. But it's less than some indie games that come out. Name invalid.
So it was more than. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I can read that in a second.
I was just gonna say it's more than Highguard recently.
Oh no, that was the comment. Was that it's only 40,000 more than Highguard.
Yeah, so
that's not necessarily
not
what you want. Yeah, name invalid, but again, it's Steam concurrent. Like I said, dude, it's the numbers we get, so I'll say them, but I don't care. And if the game's got 20,000 and it's amazing, guess what? Also don't care, and that's great because if people like it, people like it. Ghostwire Ghoul. Oh, I like that name. Ghostwire Ghoul. Tried Marathon for 4 to 5 hours with friends. It's not a bad game, but I just didn't have fun. Oh, didn't have fun. Lack of PvP. The PvE was annoying. We just avoided it. Nothing feels rewarding. I don't see how it carves an audience. Alp says, it sounds like it isn't terrible, but it needs a lot of refinement. Can't say anyone is surprised. Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's probably middling, right? And I guess that sort of hits in people, since it's their next game, people wanted something that had a little bit of the catch like Destiny, but I don't think that was ever going to happen after all the issues. It's just really hard. People will get over it if it's a good game though, right? We have long memories and then short-term memories, and you never know what's going to be held in those when it comes to how gamers work, right?
Yeah. All is forgiven if it's a good game.
Yeah. I mean, dude, all kinds of leadership issues, plagiarism completely on a story, but it's all a different game, It's not all. A lot of it was revolving around this. But they've got to. I want them to do well, but I want them to do it a little bit cleaner, is what I was saying in the chat today. I never want a company to go away. It doesn't make sense, especially if I like Destiny 2 shooting. Love to see another Destiny, but I would like them to get out of they obviously have some mismanagement, horrendous mismanagement. And I would like that to be, cleaned up so that we can talk about their game, right? Just talk about their game. It would be nice to be able to talk about it without having all their problems, even sort of sitting over your shoulders, even if you
get their shit together.
Yeah. Get their shit together. So yeah. Yeah, guns feel good. Guns feel good. Guns feel great. Yeah. That's the problem is I feel like we've been saying this about their stuff for so long. It's guns feel great. And you're like, but everything else. And you're all, the companies that hit it all are the ones that we see talked about in years, which is nice.
Yeah. It's funny how some people I've heard say that the guns look like Lego. They look terrible. and then other people said that that's what they like.
Same thing happened with Arc Raiders, man. Arc Raiders guns look horrendous to me as an art aesthetic. Just as an art aesthetic. But, when you're holding them, not so bad. But like in inventories and all that stuff, which, you're in a lot in those games, not going to stop me from playing the game. But I saw a lot of arguments back and forth where people were like, it's the most, the most amazing looking guns of all time. And then you got a lot of people going like, these guns look like crap. I think with Destiny, it's one of the few games in the world, unless you can remind me of another one. I think Destiny is the only game I've ever seen where people are just universally like, their gun design is fucking next level. Destiny's gun design is like god tier gun design. Even if you don't like the game, you look at those guns and you're like,
top of the line.
Top of the line. Yeah. Great artists on that game. Just phenomenal art style on that entire title. Even just running around doing shit, you're like, damn. What's up, Debate Nate TV? Took me like 35 reads of that last podcast.
We got it in the end.
I thought it was like deciphered, because it's really small on my screen, so I can still see you and be able to see the news and shit like that. Yeah. So hopefully that, hopefully it comes in, people are able to play it, and it does as well as that game can possibly do, which, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird on that one. Let's see what else with Marathon. So Server Slam goes this weekend, I think, just this weekend. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I think it is just this weekend. Server Slam. Anybody in chat know? And then also Xbox has a free game play day that they're offering that allows you to play it for free as well for one day. It's not or it's called free game days. It could be 2 days, but they have that on their list that they announced this morning, so you wouldn't need to buy it and you could play for a little while. And I'm sure at that point you're going to get the rollover of whatever you do, right, from those 2 days into the official game. So it's until it's until March 2nd.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
I would hope.
Can you imagine if it wasn't? Let's see.
Also, worth noting on that, it's a lower price point, so it's not like full price. It's maybe $40 around that.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that matters.
A bit lower. I think it's similar to Arc Raiders.
Okay, that's the way to do it. Name invalid. $5 super chat for the Mountain Dew fund. I seen that Mountain Dew. Yes, you did. I'm out too, and I'm seriously thinking about doing Instacart while we're chatting so that I can have it when I get done. I don't need it. I want it, and that's all that matters is want, right? Desire. A debate says, hot take. Even though the quality of a game can be 10/10, I do think runtime should play into price. Of course. Yeah. Hey, at least he didn't say, as an artiste, you cannot define the price of art. God, man, hearing some of those weird things. Hunter's Gathering closed beta this weekend, too. Do you have any clue what that is? Hunter's Gathering?
Hunter's Gathering. I haven't heard of it. Do a quick search.
Alp says Gamer's Gonna Game.
It's the Horizon game? Yeah.
Oh, so no shit. The Horizon, whatever it is. The whatever. So, very cool.
Right now, it only says coming soon. I don't see any data on Steam, at least.
Maybe he means it comes out, or maybe I read it wrong. I'm looking here.
Yeah, that is the Horizon game, but...
Oh, he means it didn't close the beta. Its closed beta is this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just read that with the wrong comma. Very cool, man. Yeah. A lot of games, man.
Sweet.
Dude, a lot of games. Ridiculous. There's games that you guys don't even know about that are coming out. Yes, there are for sure. There's shadow drops. There are middling games maybe you haven't heard of. Like in the monthly, I did a couple. And weirdly enough, I think it was Cyanide who was like, holy shit, I didn't even know Toxic Commando was a game. And it's one of his favorite genres. He's like, how is it my favorite genre? And YouTube will send me shit on cooking, but I won't get stuff on my favorite genre. So he did the demo this week, and he's like, holy fuck, this is exactly what I wanted. So that's very cool. A lot of positive feedback on the top. I mean, there were some issues with it, but there's a lot of positive feedback of the general feel of Toxic Commando, especially with the cars being such a big deal. So
the cars.
Another cool jump to that. It's going to be gonna be great to see.
Yeah,
people
those
doing
guys make some amazing games. Even if I'm not too excited about like a zombie game, and they even make the joke in their trailer. They say yet another zombie game or something. But
But
I'm definitely gonna try it. They
it,
make great games.
yeah, I mean, yet another Dark Souls, but then you see Neo selling insanely well, right? Yet another Resident Evil. Yet another, yet another, yet another. But that's, and for some people, it's their brand, it's their first one. That comment came up yesterday. There was barely anybody under the age of 25 in our chat, so everybody was really young. Sorry, over 25. There was a lot of young guys in there, and they were like, "Dude, I've only played one Resident Evil, and that was like 7 or 8. Village or House, as I call it. I can't remember. It was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the name?
Yeah.
So they just hadn't played the other ones because there were people saying, "Oh, well, I think number 2 original is better." And the person who was super young was like, "Dude, I mean, sorry, but that comparison it doesn't work." It's way before my time. Playing Towerborn 1.0 release. I saw that this morning. Towerborn, I remember seeing the trailer, being super excited for it, people talking about it, and then the early access thing killed the hype for a lot of people, and I won't say killed my hype, but I forgot about it because it was in that release schedule, and unfortunately, haven't got a chance to go and even play it at all. Resident Evil with Pisser too, yeah. It's so funny because people were posting the pictures. I think Digital Foundry they did. I watched the video. They broke down Pisser 2, and they were like, "Hey, look at this." And people were like, "Did they post the same picture twice?" Because
they're the same picture.
Dude, and people just don't realize that. Like, by the way, you could hear them hedging in their video. It's a good video. They cover what it does better. But even they explained like 6 times why they're zooming in, that's their job, and that a normal player will not have to deal with that. They were like, like he was talking about the arm moving and like a slight pixelization on the arm. And the moment he said it, he turned around and was like, and I just want to say the reason why, I'm mentioning this is you might see a small shimmer because I see that. So you might be a gamer who sees that shimmer or whatever. And I was like, you shouldn't even have told them. As the saying goes, leave it a mystery. And that way, either the people who see it will go, I'm seeing this thing, or the people who don't see it won't see it. Because if you tell somebody what you're seeing in a GIF or in a picture, I've ruined a lot of GIFs for Void. Somebody will post a GIF in Void, or Void will post a GIF in the Discord, and I'll be like, great GIF, but I can't get over the fact that behind that character or behind that person is like a controller that looks like a guy doing a dopey face. And he's like, dude, that just ruined that picture for the rest of my life. He's like, I will never not see that. So it's like sometimes it might be better to not mention it. Celeste 2 coming to early access in 2 weeks. Looks really promising. Yeah, a lot of people really like Celestia, the original. Did you ever do that one?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, a lot of people digging it. What else do we got for news?
Right. Well, you had a bunch of news today. You came shot out of a cannon.
We'll do one of yours first.
What I had was about the Nacon or Nacon.
Yeah. What is that?
Groups. Okay, so they filed for insolvency. This is the people who did Styx, the game recently that you covered, and they got some pretty decent reviews overall. Not that it's connected, but I'm just saying it's not that it was a disaster or anything at all. But they filed for insolvency, so they're trying to figure out. They couldn't cover the debts and everything they had, right? And they're trying to figure out a way out of that situation. But just sucks to see. Once again, a case where they did a solid game, but the situation was just dire, I guess.
Yeah, and did you see what happened? So when they switched companies, Big Ben took on some debt for them. They can't pay it. So it's not of the way in which you would look at it and go, oh my God, somebody failed and all the games are failing. It's not that. It's not that at all. That's not the situation that's going on. It's the fact that so basically, let's say somebody takes on your debt, like a family member, you can't pay bills, whatever. They take on the debt for your house, right? And they're paying, and everything's working out. Then they lose their job, and they can't pay that debt, and now it goes back to you because your name is still the primary on it. Sort of how this occurred. So what they stated was when they go into this, what it does is it allows for basically what happens is it allows for them to not pay the debt back right away and look at adjusting, not going out of business, but adjusting how the company works and is set out to do everything. And then they go to the court and they say, we've made these adjustments. And then the court works with them and their debtors to figure out what to do. And
interesting. So they're not like out of business.
It's not the same thing. Yeah. In the old days, I don't know if they still have it. They have two types of bankruptcy as well, or they used to in America. I don't know if they still have both, but they used to have different chapters. And one would like be a payment plan bankruptcy where they wouldn't take your shit, but you still had to pay and only some things could be claimed. And then they had the full bankruptcy where you basically say, there is no solvency in my home. We have nothing.
Yeah, let's just work it out.
Let's work it out.
What we have.
And what happens is then they leave you one car and everything else, they come to your place and they take it. That's what people think when they hear bankruptcy, and a lot of times they think of that.
Yeah.
The movie
insolvency. I thought they're out.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. So they'll have some time to figure out how to put this together. It buys them some time, and I hope they do well. You know, they've got some issues. If you look up their history, they're remember we were saying we hope Bungie cleans up. This company needs to clean up. I'll just say that. You guys can look on Google. Google's a great place, by the way. If you haven't heard about it, Google's brand new. Hasn't been around very long.
Yeah.
You can use it to do searches. You know.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool
place. You know, sometimes searches aren't the greatest. You know, you sometimes have to link through it. But seriously, no joke. If you get a chance, go look, and you can get some data on what they've done. And you know, you could hate them for that, but it's no one person there, and there's a lot of good people there. So hopefully that gets fixed. I mean, Styx was worth it, man. Like, to me, Styx was like, I thought that was absolutely
a worthy game.
A worthy game. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I hope, I mean, they've got a couple really good, what do you call it, with them, good developers that make some games I'm highly interested in. So what else we got?
Okay, let's see. Let's dive into some of the stuff you had here. So, Marvel Wolverine, that got confirmed for September 15th.
Did you like their drop? Did you see their drop on Twitter?
Yeah.
There was no
I did.
preamble. There was no preamble. They're like, oh, by the way,
here's a picture.
Here's a picture, and here's when we're coming out. Yeah. Closer to GTA than I think I assumed. A little closer, you know?
Do you view that as a really big release for this year? In your own, like, calendar or estimation?
Man, in mine, big because... Yeah, I guess. Yeah, if it's good, I mean, I can't wait. You know, it could be. I mean, I love Spider-Man, right? So, like,
for sure.
So in that way, sure, but in the scheme of things, it could be really big if nothing else is coming but GTA, and you get that split of people who maybe are playing GTA or going to play it and want to play something different for a little bit of time. It is a hard release window, because they're closer to GTA than, let's say, they did March or April or something like that. But it is a different style of game. So, you know, it always works in that way. I don't know. Is it for you? Like, is Wolverine? It's difficult because it's like, it's a bunch of things. It's a company that knows what they're doing. They've got a good history, but they're releasing their first of a game that doesn't augment the history they've been doing, because it's not an open world. It's not any of that. But when you see the Spider-Man cutscenes and stuff, they're insanely good. So you're like, okay, they do know their story. I mean, I have a lot of respect for their ability to take a superhero, make it fun to play, and experience whatever story they have, for sure.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
And admittedly, this one will take it in a different direction, because the combat, at least hopefully, will be very different than Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah.
So much more like kind of impactful, right? And about the raw power as opposed to acrobatics and
Mhm.
agility and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But for me, it's a very big game this year because Wolverine is one of my favorite like superhero characters.
Mhm.
Although he's technically maybe like an anti-hero, if you want to say that, but either way, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Out of almost anything, this is probably like top 3
Releases.
characters
Oh,
that they
characters,
could
yeah.
make a game around. For me personally, if they
That's
were
true.
to say, Johnny, we're gonna make a game for you, definitely Wolverine would be up there. I liked what I saw so far with the actor. I like that guy. I think he can do a good job. And yeah, overall, I'm excited. I'm open to seeing what they do with it. I'm also a bit like just kind of low key worried because it's tough to do. Tough to do a good Wolverine. I mean, even Hugh Jackman, who I think is great, took him like 2 or 3 tries to really get into it
Right.
and nail it.
Yeah, I would agree with
But
that.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
What else we got?
Okay, so you had here something about New York Sue's. Why is that
Sue's
difficult?
Valve.
Sue's Valve over loot boxes.
Yeah, so basically, so the reason why I'm having you read it is my behind the scenes. Every time we stream, my YouTube freezes, and so I'm
good.
refreshing it. So, yeah, so it was. Let me grab this. So
they called them illegal gambling.
Yeah, so basically, New York sues video game developer Valve, says its loot boxes are gambling. New York, this is from Routers, says New York's Attorney General sued Valve. Video game developers' franchises include Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and Dota. Wow. Seriously? Those are the games you're going to mention? Anyway, accusing it of promoting illegal gambling and threatening to addict children through its use of loot boxes. First of all, bad writing, Router, or routers, because fuck, man, they're not threatening to, whatever. In a complaint filed on Wednesday in a state court, they said Valve's loot boxes amounted to quintessential gambling, violating the state's constitution and penal law, with valuable items often hard to win and many items worth pennies. So what they're doing is, it's not just that they're loot boxes, it's that the ability for, in some way, you to spend a lot and get very little back is to them the equivalent of nothing back, which is gambling. Do you see what I'm saying? So they're sort of arbitrarily saying if some things are worth pennies and you can spend money or do whatever, and you're basically buying chances to win where, you know, the value is low, they're probably connecting it to the marketplace and all that stuff too. Who knows? They said key sales advanced Valve's unusual business model of letting players sell items they won on its virtual marketplace. Yeah, that's it. So that is exact. So it's 3 tiers to that lawsuit. And that's why they feel like they're able to sue him. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think I agree with you being able to say something is worth pennies and therefore it's worth nothing. Because then what if in a couple years we say they're worth 10 pennies or 25 cents? Those are also now nothing. It feels like if your laws are laws, they should be pretty clear cut. But I admit I don't jump into this a much. You guys know me, I'm certainly not pro Valve, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm curious if this would be like precedent for all types of other games.
Yeah.
You know, being hit by this type of lawsuit.
Yeah.
Because Riot does effectively loot boxes as well in League, where you have, you know, like a 0.05 chance of getting the big skin you like, but after, it's basically gacha, by the way, you know, after 200 tries, you're going to get it guaranteed. But until then, you have a 0.05
What's even
chance.
funnier too, Johnny, is when you look at it, it's like, it's sort of odd that with all the fighting to get away from like microtransactions, we look back at microtransactions and you go, maybe like cosmetics aren't so bad. I mean, I'm not saying they aren't bad. I'm just saying when you look at the scheme of things, how it turned out, they basically got away with saying, oh, okay, we'll tell you the chances. And you're like, well, wait a minute. I know the chances of roulette and it is still gambling. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's how dumb and that's one of the problems with, especially when they write a law real quick and they're like, okay, this is the switch. And then you do the switch and then people look and they're like, well, I played craps. That's gambling, and you can win a low amount or a high amount in that and still gambling. You can win nothing though. That's the one thing where I think the loot boxes change is you always get a little something.
A little something.
But let me tell you this. Let's say the little something and they lose. If I was running a casino, I'd start giving everybody a little bit of money back when they play roulette and be like, well, it's not gambling now. You just told them all they have to do is give you a little something for every single thing you
tell
do.
me where the line is and I'll tell you where.
Yeah, and I'll tell you where I'll redraw
standing.
it and I'll step over the fucking top of that thing. So, yeah, that's a weird one.
I mean, is there a sense in which loot boxes are just like clear cut? We can say like anytime they have loot boxes, that's gambling? Or is gambling just kind of a overloaded word at this point?
I think gambling is when you get nothing.
Okay.
So maybe there's not a term for always getting a little back yet. Maybe there's not a term yet. Yeah.
Right.
But gambling, there really is when you start getting nothing back, you're like,
yeah. You're opening your Pokemon card packs and like you got
cards.
trash.
No. I'm saying there's no cards. That's gambling. So let's say so if I went to buy a Pokemon card deck and they were all $1 and they could be blank cards worth nothing. So no, they couldn't even be blank cards because you could technically sell the cards or something so you open it up and it's purposely somehow weighted to make you feel like there's something in it. And you open it up and you're like, fuck, there's nothing in here. That's
Didn't
gambling.
Get cards this time.
Didn't get cards this time. That's gambling. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see like your position. I think it's very hard to have one clear-cut stance on all that.
I'm just saying currently that's how they consider gambling. I'm not saying that's me. I would say I go with them, but that's currently how gambling works is that, you just put money in, there's hard chances to win, and you can get zero back. That's like sort of the easy way of saying that's gambling. That's gambling.
Okay, right.
But, everybody will have their own interpretation, obviously. Let's see. What else do we got?
This one about Amazon canceling open world racing publishing deal.
Yeah, let me read this real quick from chat. It finally started. My chat finally opened up. Spooner says there's a report that Sony might steer away from PC ports for their games. Nothing confirmed. So I talked about this about 2 years ago. Johnny and I were in a podcast. We talked about this. And I was trying to tell people that just because Microsoft had announced that games were coming onto PlayStation, if Microsoft somehow did really well, you would never expect those games to continue on PlayStation, right? Would make no sense.
Right.
So when you look at Sony, the exact same rule of sort of play works. And with Microsoft making the huge adjustments to their services and no one knowing what they're doing, or very few knowing what they're doing, and they're certainly, just like Sony, not doing anything with a new console anytime soon. Currently, there are only two competitors. And right now, they don't want you buying a Switch. They want you buying a PlayStation. And so you have to add your value to the PlayStation. And it does cost extra money for those ports. And no one that I've talked to has stated that they expect them to go away from it. There's been the worst I saw was, and I think it was one of the journalists was saying, actually, they just have a feeling because of what they're seeing. And then John Linneman on Digital Foundry said the same thing. He said the choices they're making seem like that might be what's occurring. For example, Wolverine currently is just PS5. And that's exactly what I see as well. It's what we've talked about in the last couple podcasts is that you could, it already felt like there was some adjustments that were going to have to be made if Microsoft sort of went this different route. You have two competitors, which nobody wants in gaming, by the way. You never want two competitors in gaming. We've seen it multiple times. It's never worked out well. You want a third, questionable in what they do, chaotic competitor that always makes both of the other two look at them sideways. Like that's exactly what you want, because that hungry side competitor always does something a little bit askew. It also lets them continue to make their games for a system that they know the hardware, versus running into the current problem, which is PC gamers are going to be upgrading or have upgraded. They're mostly at 8 gigs though. And with the decompress compress block on the consoles, as well as a locked hardware design on the consoles, they would much rather only have one system to develop for instead of 60,000. The moment you jump to a PC situation, you have QA and testing and all kinds of disasters, and they've had issues with their ports in the past, though the last ones have been good. I don't think anybody expects them to go away, because they just, remember, they bought a PC port company. They bought them. They could write it off, but I don't think anybody thinks that's probably makes a ton of sense. What they could do is do a couple less and put more time into them. We'll just have to wait and see. But every person who has sort of started the rumor has then reposted to say it's just, it's sort of what I'm hearing on the side, but nobody's like officially stated it. No one will, by the way. If anybody thinks a company's going to come out and be like, we have decided to completely drop any future, blah, blah, blah. Why? Because people get mad when you turn around and change it. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is what I see as well. Maybe a little less. But the thing is, guys, not to be rude, a lot of their PC stuff was like The Last of Us Part 3 version remaster, make fucking reimagination. You were just like, we got some good ones, but admittedly, a lot of them were just, there was a lot of shoddy ports from them for a while. So if you take the good ports and the good trajectory they're going on, I expect the occasional game to still do that. Also, if the game doesn't sell, maybe that too. Also, the service games will not be PC, or they'll be on PC. Service game,
yeah, for sure.
You're dumb if you don't do that on PC. That just doesn't make any sense. So, and they still have 7. So in no way, shape, or form, is that going to be a thing? Debate says, I just started doing YouTube. If I may ask, how long did it take you to get going? I got laid off and then took my money from getting I had already done some reviews and some videos, but I don't really know what get going means, but I would say I'm still not going. I don't think it's ever over. I would just say, don't worry about get going, just go do, and then come back to me if you're seeing success on some videos and not on others. But you do you, and don't worry about comparing your start time to somebody else, because unless you do drama, I mean, basically you could open up a channel, say ACG Reacts, and all you do is respond to anything I say, and you call me names and blah, 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 you would probably do fine. But if you're talking, I mean, in all honesty, you would, because React content is so easy. But if you're talking about a real channel trying to deliver actual content that isn't just a blathering head, that is, it's different for everybody. So I would say you do you, get an idea of what you want to do it. Feel free to change, stay scrappy, and stay flexible, because YouTube changes daily. That's just the way it is. YouTube does change daily, dude. All the time.
Have to constantly adapt to what's working.
Yeah. I just want the Final Fantasy games, that's all. So admittedly, I didn't want to point out a game, but Final Fantasy didn't sell well. So, or as well as they expected by a good amount. So perhaps they saw a lack of return. They're dealing with the same issues we are, but they also have a hardware contention that only Xbox and Nintendo have, which is where they can aim for their specific hardware and they can do that and, go on from there. Like, I think it's just a different situation for each company. But
you said it didn't do well. Was it 16? Final Fantasy 16? Or which one?
No, it was the remake.
Didn't do well.
The remake.
7?
Yeah.
Damn.
Didn't do as well as they thought or something. Yeah, there was a report from them where I thought they said in a thing that they hinted that its sales had been lower or something. I thought it was a great game. Thought it was a great game. Don't you? We both liked it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that.
I don't know about 16. Yeah. I don't know what 16 sold. And I don't know sales, depending on if somebody says the sales versus not, right? You don't quite know. So if they did well, that's cool too. But there's always some kind of stuff, Some kind of weird shit. There's always something. Even though I appreciated the remake, Blue Point provided they hadn't released anything in 5 years. Yeah. And they also spent a full year asking Sony to look at their game designs. I think it was 2 or 3, and it just hadn't panned out.
Yeah.
Just the way it is, unfortunately. What you were mentioning another thing, Johnny? Did I miss one? You said
no,
Nacon?
not yet.
Okay, go ahead. What's the next one?
Next one. Let's see. We have a bunch of questions.
Let's go with the first. We'll do a question.
You put one here from Glass Dad.
Oh.
Carrick, sup bitches. You mentioned
subscriber.
Yeah. You mentioned last year that if Xbox or Nintendo were not in the market, that you felt Sony may not be inclined to do PC titles.
Oh.
Do you feel the recent leaks are that situation coming to bear? Or also the RAM shortage and PC users not being able to upgrade their video cards?
So
Thank you for all you do.
Thanks. That was what we just answered. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
ESP, baby. What else we got?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeti Money says, any new ways you use AI in work or life recently? And which are you using these days? Thanks.
I've been not new. Helping myself make a database I was telling Johnny about, but that's pretty much it. And not much, like the stuff it does for a lot of people, it doesn't, like, it's not use. I can't use it for what I want to do. So I'm sort of like scheduling and stuff. I've definitely used it for helping me identify, because I'm pretty good at scheduling already, but there'll be times where you'll mess something up or I'll forget it's Thursday. I need an AI to just be like, hey dude, when I wake up, be like, morning Amazon device or whatever. And she's like, dude, just so you know, can we just start this out, Jeremy? It's Thursday, dude. It's Thursday. And be like, oh, okay. Because I do spend a lot of my time on the wrong day when I do a review. That happens a lot where, like, the next day I do a review, I'm always the prior day for some. I always.
You just lose track.
I lose that one day is gone. I'm so into what I'm doing and thinking so deep that when I get done, every time I wake up, I'm like, yeah, so, is something happened? My wife will be like, dude, what? It's happening
Where
today.
Are we?
Yeah, no shit. Just like, huh. That picture, the picture of the guy who looks like he's drunk and he's looking at the camera, the GIF where he's like, that's getting out of bed.
Yeah.
That's me on that next day every time. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I've used it a bit more for work recently. Like I was telling you before the show, it's been really cool. One thing that I enjoy is that at times I will use it just like to talk to it, to maybe brainstorm about what I'm doing with this project at work. And then it has that context so that when I'm talking about like future things or something I want to document now, it kind of takes into account all those things that I've already discussed. Plus, it has all the documentation from, my team at work that it has that context. And then it can pull everything from AWS and everything underlying that we use and stuff like that. And just kind of like puts it all together in a really cool way. And sometimes I'll see that it used something that I mentioned to it when I talked to it. And then written stuff is just kind of all pulled into the context. Pretty cool.
Very cool. Also, I figured we might as well talk a little bit more about the Microsoft change, because you and I hit it at myself and Silver. Didn't we hit it right in
last
live?
Week? Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. It had just happened.
Yeah. So there was an interview. There was a couple comments back and forth. There were a couple little stuff, but no real data right now about what their plans are. You're not going to get them either because, number one, first week of a new person running. Number two, probably up in the air still, where people are looking at the RAM shortages for new consoles. These are all things that affects everybody. You can't really say, oh, consumers are affected by this and the companies aren't. Bullshit. Like they are. If they raise prices and you feel affected, they're also affected. Like that's just sort of how the world works. So I haven't really seen anything yet that like makes me intrigued by any changes or worried more than I was already worried for Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. I'm worried about all of them because of the hardware stuff that's going on and all this. So there really isn't much more to add. I would say that despite mistakes that were definitely made, I'm a little bit nervous about the idea that we have lost the CEOs of 3 major companies in the last 7-8 years to non-gamer leads, to non-gamer CEOs, because they did game. And so you see, or they were Sean Layden, super into indie games, just a absolute, like, he just was such a champion. Concrete Genie is one of the greatest games, man. Artistically, design-wise, just such a weird. They were more grounded. They were more grounded, and they knew the industry from the gamer side, even if they didn't game a ton. Like Jack Trinton, he tried to game, but he was a bit more CEO, but he knew gamers, and it was very clear when he left Sony, that was one of the things that was starting to affect him. And then Sean Layden left really quick. Nintendo's lost a couple, and I don't know if their current one is a gamer, but I believe they're not, or not much, and doesn't have not much of one as a true gamer. Somebody who's playing games. I don't need them to play a bunch of games. I don't need them to like be posting their fucking KD ratio, but it's context, and that's what reminded me of why I wanted to talk about it, because you said context when you're talking about AI. It's context, and we are now looking at a situation where every single thing is hitting us. RAM shortages, hardware shortages, CPU shortages, tariffs, in the middle of a console generation, not at the starting where you can make changes to a design, but in the middle, which changes the entire idea of, do you hold on to your console and wait it out, or do you not? Which is why we're seeing these companies and these rumors popping up. Many are rumors, but some of them are for sure true. Some of the stuff we've been seeing. So yeah, I mean, Microsoft, like, I don't know. I don't necessarily know what any of these companies have planned, because I feel like the world is in such flux. If you had a good plan, you can't even guarantee a person has your hardware in their hand. Let's say you make the biggest classic game ever, but you make it for the fucking Neo Geo. Why is that going to matter? Right?
Yeah.
The 6 guys at a pawn shop able to pay $1,200 for a Neo Geo will be playing it. Great. And they'll tell you that it's the best game of all time. And you'll just be like, well, I'm not paying $800 for a Neo Geo or whatever. Well, you could probably emulate it now, obviously. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so we're at a situation where it's just never really had this problem before. It's always been like, we can add more, but we have to decide the price. And those price were down to like 25 cents for a better, wireless card on your console. And now the stuff that I just heard last week, I don't know if this is true, but I heard last week that there are rumors and rumblings that some data is going to come out that RAM is going to go up an even larger amount than anybody expected. Like over 100% again.
Oh, damn.
So, and anytime a fab that they're trying to roll up doesn't catch on, or doesn't get, if it's got a delay, I see that going higher. And so that means you can't even make a newer, powerful more console. Dude, think about that, Johnny. Like, let's say you had an idea and all you needed was something. You needed a new PC because maybe you have this idea that would blow your Twitch channel up, and you quite literally can't do it. Like, the idea is there, though. And you can do it with something that's available, but you quite simply can't do that.
Between like GPUs and RAM,
and my controller has memory in it. That is going to be affected. Controllers will.
I think we're not yet seeing that.
Just don't see that
level of disruption, because you've talked about this.
Controllers are.
They're in the channel. They're in the. The markets are flooded
and the
with these things.
For that RAM was via a contract prior.
Yeah, so it happened in the past. Yeah. So it's almost like a lagging effect that we might start seeing now, where all of these basic electronic things have some level of being coupled with the RAM situation or the fabs in general. And I think we're going to start seeing that this year. You know what's interesting? There's usually like a day one move a new CEO makes to kind of
Absolutely,
set
yeah. To set
themselves
themselves
apart.
apart. Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah.
that a thing?
No,
Because
it's
in
for
my
sure a
company,
thing.
we recently got a CEO
He
change,
did
and he was
something.
like, "Here are a couple things we're
Yep.
definitely doing differently." You know.
Yep. And they're not always money saving. We've seen it multiple times. CEO would be like, hey, you know, it might be money change in the far future, but it, you know, it could be totally pro employee, like your boss or my boss. I had bosses come in totally pro employee for the first like 6 months, make huge changes. And I'm not saying he cut later. He just, he went in and he's like, this is not, I have a belief in my brain that paying these guys will get a better output and they'll be happier. Boom, I'm paying them more. Yeah, you are right. There's always a CEO one or two choice, you know, one or two change. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. Yeah, I wonder what that'll be. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm still expecting to see that. They said something about like focusing on future of games. They had this phrase, future of games.
Do you know
What's
what
that mean to you?
It means
it's
to me
so
fixing Xbox,
incredibly vague.
fixing Xbox Live and not having so many tiers, for sure.
Okay.
The tier confusion is still there. Game Pass isn't going away. They're definitely fixing the tiers will happen. And I think it will happen sooner rather than later. The tiers is ridiculous. Dude, come on. They don't, and the names don't even make sense. So if I were her, I would go out and be like, you know, you could say we've heard you or whatever, but I would say for the sake of clarity, and you package them up and you give somebody a good deal on the low end and a great deal on the top end that collapses none of this. You might get this game later. You might get this game later. Where you need to figure it out. You know, you need to be like, okay, all base games, but no Microsoft published ones or whatever on your low end. I don't know. I'm literally just talking outside the box right now. But yeah, fixing Game Pass's confusion, because I know a lot of people were like, I'm getting Game Pass. Most people I know have actually got more Game Pass rather than less, especially with Forza being announced. Once Forza was announced, I saw a lot of people being like, I'll just get Game Pass, play a couple games. I don't play Forza. Forza's a good game. And I think people like try to be like, I'm canceling it. You know, it's like, and I don't really need to hear people's buying and selling fucking, you know, diaries. You know, you'll get that all the time. I sold my PlayStation, and you're like, good, but why did you tell me? Why do I have to have that data in my brain? But like, what the fuck? But yeah, fixing Game Pass, man, making it clear to gamers and PC Game Pass. There's no reason for a PC split. Just be like, boom, if you have this Game Pass, PC, Xbox streaming, console, done.
Yeah,
just done. All at the same price.
Streamline it, unify it under one.
Yep. And then you know, maybe get rid of the online requirement, but I don't think that'll happen. That's one. Focusing on Xbox, my opinion, what that means is, I don't want to say this to make it happen. Yeah. No, it's not even that I don't want to say it to make it happen. It's that I don't think that's what it meant. But I was like, could it mean that they're also pulling back to just their stuff to silo themselves so that whatever they can do, they can get those diehards? But I don't think diehards are diehard. Most diehards have a diehardness about not just the console, but there's other things that they have a diehardness about. And Microsoft has shown that they want more than the diehards anyway. So why get rid of that? So yeah, I don't know. And probably getting in line with good releases on consoles. If they have a console spec idea, getting that locked down. Sarah Bond left the same day, which speaks directly towards anybody being leaped over by somebody else. She was the heir apparent. And was talked about openly as being that. That's why Phil was saying there were multiple questions people asked in interviews, and Phil's like, I'm not going to answer that. You need to go talk to Sarah. So she was obviously the person that they had planned, and so when she got not given the job, it was like, okay, you know, I'm going to go. So that sort of sucks, because again, you're losing the people she did actually game, and a lot of developers really liked her. Yeah, so. We'll have to see. A lot of big changes, man. A lot of big changes.
Yeah. Do we know much about Matt Booty? Because I'm not too familiar with.
Well liked
with him
in the idea of he wants good games. I guess would be, it definitely like the push there has always been that he does actually want, good games. But other than that, no. I mean, never hear any really things about like, cutting for no reason or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. And you look at Nintendo. Now we're hearing, more companies aren't doing Nintendo Switch, what do you call it? Ports. So it's like, what does that mean? Because it went in a short amount of time from everybody wants to 3, 4, 5 different ones saying, we're not going to. And you're like, that's interesting. Is that connected to the RAM? Fanatestical says, Carrick, your RE preview title said you are ready for this. After playing the first few hours, I think so. LMAO. Yeah, so, dude, I don't know what to say about those. I probably won't ever say you're not ready for this unless you find an inside joke. I find it stupid. The Crimson Desert stuff that came out recently, you got people already, tweeting out some stuff. When my preview comes out, it's just going to be like, you are ready. You are ready. You're not a fucking idiot. And people are talking to you guys like idiots. And you're not. Yeah. You're not. That's not me saying I'm even better. I literally feel like they're talking. I'm a gamer. So I feel that. I'm like, I'm not an idiot, man. I'm not an idiot. Yeah. I understand what games are. The Replaced thing was really bad. The Replaced demo came out. They were like, this is what I've been talking about. It's unlike anything ever in human history and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it's not, because I played it. I have no fucking clue what these people are talking about. And then a bunch of people played it and they're like, why did people say we weren't ready for this? I'm like, yeah, because it's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's nothing but a PR thumbnail trap. And people dive in. And I'm not gonna. I hate it. Hush Al Ghul says, $5 super chat. Could her move be that regardless of the RAM situation, they'll release a console next year? Next year? No, because next year, AMD doesn't even have a chip in place yet that's even been in. There's nothing. No, there's nothing currently that chip wise you would hear about it from AMD. They would have an upcoming release that would mimic the idea of what they want to do. And Microsoft has made it very clear whatever they're doing is going to be super powerful, because they'll do a bespoke, and then you'll have OEMs like ROG also making them so that they can offset
so
the
it wouldn't be
cost.
Something that like already exists.
No,
or it's already.
No. I mean, they just now dropped the Z1 Extreme and the Legion Go Original. They dropped driver support, which still means drivers will work. It just means if you have issues, they may not fix them. But once you get a solid driver in a system, you can usually play for years. It's just you might not get some efficiencies or whatever. In fact, a lot of us don't update. I update the PC with the newest ones when I review, because you're supposed to. It only makes sense to review that and then I review it also on what I call a dirty PC, which is the work PC, or the non-work PC, which has other programs, so I can see what Discord's like if you have like a Discord and a OBS running and you're playing the game, because 99% of humans who play games don't fucking turn everything off unless it's a handheld, maybe to save some CPU. So, but I've been talking about it for years. The OEM thing, I think the first time I brought it up was 2 years ago. The OEM thing's real. I mean, they've shown it with WMR. Now they showed it with ROG Ally. That's not going away. That's smart. That's 1% from you and 99% from another 100 people. Like, that's the exact way you want to run a business. Taking it on all by yourself in today's current hardware market doesn't make any sense if you can get away with it. Not at all. The AMD announcement heavily hinted. No, it didn't. I read the AMD announcement. It literally just said that they have something future planned with Microsoft. It didn't hint anything about next year. It hinted their chip was coming next year. And that will be one of the custom parts of the new console, but that doesn't mean that's coming out next year.
So it would take longer. It's not like they're already designing and like testing.
They could. That if they do mean that, I'll just say this: if they do mean that, we're going to be really disappointed, because it's going to be like what's happening with the Steam machine, where if they do it, then you're going to be screwed, because it's not going to be as powerful as it should be for a sequel console. Because
or hella expensive for what it is.
Well, that's what I mean. Hella expensive. So let's say they do $1,000 and they do next year. That chip that AMD's doing is not the Delta is way closer than it used to be, where you would get a really
Yeah.
good system for for like a really low price, and you'd be like, I got a deal. You don't want to pay $1,000 and get
A PS5, or
yeah. Like, I mean, hey, I could be wrong, but I did read that actual article and look at the actual slides, and it didn't seem to indicate anything other than Microsoft and them having a deal, and whatever future idea that they're doing is available next year. But that's way different, and it also could be a handheld.
That's true.
So maybe, and it could be a handheld. PlayStation's looking at that low power handheld, so I guess it could be a handheld because they've got Extreme 1, Extreme 2, and then whatever. Dude, here's the problem though, Johnny. Battery technology hasn't caught up, and the new chips. I mean, I guess you could do maybe a handheld. Microsoft's always wanted a handheld.
But don't you think with the ROG Ally,
let me look at this
they're now
panel again. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue, bud.
They're just going more towards the OEM approach, or do you think they could still open up their own manufacturing?
I don't see how. I don't see how they don't be smart. They've shown that they're OEM so much. They've always said that the idea of OEM made sense since they did it in WMR.
Yeah.
All right, let me look here. Committed to, this is her saying this, and then I'll read the AMD thing so we can clarify my thoughts versus what they said. I'm committed to returning to Xbox, and that starts with the console, starts with the hardware. We'll hear more about it soon. We've already heard about it 2 years ago, so we don't know what that means. There we go, AMD. Oh, yeah. No, I was right. Yeah. Their parts at AMD are available as early as sometime in 2027. So just because their part is available sometime in 2027 doesn't mean there's any indication that I've seen that it means Microsoft is going to do it in 2027, because there are other parts that they'll need, including NVMEs, which have gone up in price by 200% in RAM. But they could also say, here's a more powerful system at $1,500 or something like that. But it's, yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
We're just so fucked. We're just so fucked. I mean, it's like crunched on both sides for the first time. Spanky Steve, $2 super chat. You guys looking forward to Yota Legends?
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Free DLC, right?
Yeah, they do a great job with that.
Another handheld so soon. Why? I thought they were pushing the power narrative for their next Xbox. Those are not connected. The next Xbox is their power narrative. The handheld is not something they've said would be a power narrative. Do you think Microsoft would go down the routes of VR headset for a new type of... No. Guys, VR is tough. And VR developers have left. You go to like the old Reddits where VR was popping, and now they're like, bye-bye. It's rough
it's
in
so
VR
niche.
land. It's so niche, and I think you're not going to see a big screen is probably your biggest change to the form factor, and it is great, but it also costs $800 to $900, and that's without now the new, if they put RAM in it, so you would really have to have one that like had no computation whatsoever in it. And you would have to get a console to deliver twice the FPS it does now to get doubles. You could do a buffer, what's called a screen side buffer. You could do where it'll draw a picture on one side for one eye and then does some adjustments to get that second screen for the other eye, which we've seen before, but it's not perfect. And that means you would have to tell all your developers that are not perfect system that costs a bunch of money and is only going to sell to an incredibly small niche of people, needs you to train. You know what I mean? I can stop there.
What a pitch.
What a pitch. Yeah, what a pitch. I would love it, though. I love VR, man. Dude, I love VR. I saw a guy last night in YouTube short. He's got a arcade home flight system that he bought from the arcade when they went out of business. It usually had 3 pods. He took one of the pods out, tore everything out. It's got hydraulics, can do a 360 everything is powered on the device with a wire coming down, so he can spin for 5 hours, no issues.
Wow.
Flying it, blah blah blah. I'm like, dude, and he doesn't have VR, by the way. But I'm saying if you had VR with that as well, all this kind of stuff, that's great. But that's what, $20,000. I mean,
yeah,
we're stuck. We're stuck right now. We're rough. Such is life. What else we got?
Okay, so next up we have this one from Name Invalid X.
Boom.
What is your go-to cut of steak and how do you make it? Okay. You had a picture here as well of like this was just, I think, an AI picture of you making a steak and just putting a bunch of salt
putting
on
the
top
salt
of
on it. I made the world's worst AI picture. That was so long ago. That was like when Midjourney first started. So favorite cut of steak. I'm going to be brutally honest, man. As long as it's got a little marbling on it, like pretty much anything, I don't want super lean because it really isn't the greatest to me. I don't necessarily have one, but a grill, hot grill, sear it, fairly simple cook. You sear it on both sides, 20. It depends on how you do the grill, but I cook everything.
Is the grill
with
for
it.
you like a
Barbecue.
big pan?
Barbecue.
Oh, a barbecue.
Yeah, we have a barbecue on the outside of the deck, and I like
smoked. Kind of.
No, this would be you would have a flame for sure, but yeah, I have a double, so you could move it up if you want to close it. You can blah blah blah.
Yeah. And that's amazing.
And I never cook steak by itself if I barbecue. It's always green peppers and onions and butter in tinfoil in there, and then you cook at the same time. So my cook time is different than most people because I usually like both foods to be done at the same time. Dude, let me tell you about an OCD I've got. Do I have OCD? No, I don't. I don't have ADHD. I'm not going to pretend I do like everybody in the world is right now. But I do have a weird kink. Food has to be delivered at the same time to me. And I don't know why. If I'm cooking, I don't want anything sitting unless it's supposed to. Unless you're like, if you rest a steak, fine, you're resting the steak. But I do like everything to be, I don't like the staggered shit where it's like your mom be doing Thanksgiving. She's like, potatoes are done, but it's going to be 40 minutes for the turkey. I'm like, well, then fucking, what are we doing? Who fucked that up? Like, what the fuck? Why are we like, why is half of it done? I don't know why.
We need a better gun chart for that next time.
Yeah, that's on me too. Because I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be like, what the fuck? That's a weird thing. But for me, it is a big deal because I like the option of like, if everybody sits down to be like, it's all ready. It's all ready. It's just not the pie. If you're going to have pie, that's a dessert that comes after. You can let that delay for 20 minutes while people are eating. Yeah. But when I'm making stuff personally, I like to make it efficient so that I can grab my plate, put it down, grab everything, put it on there.
I agree with you.
There's nothing.
I don't want to have to like go get up and like get the potatoes after.
Yeah. And then how I would say I like almost well done. I've talked about that. I'm not going to waste time talking about why that is, but
I know people give you shit because you like well done. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. But people have no clue how to. You can cook a well done steak. You can actually do it quite well, but it is definitely harder. It's definitely a different style of thing. I also use a lot of sauces that I make myself or whatever for my steak. Like my steak isn't just me slicing into. I mean, sometimes it is, but a lot of times we'll do a cream cheese spread or something over the steak, something to like give it a little bit of whatever. But I don't want it to be a dried out husk of dead leather.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
ribeyes are great. It's a good cut that you can do.
T-bones are good too. Sorry, Johnny. Sorry, continue.
No, they're incredible.
I'll later. Yeah.
But my thing with T-bones is that they're not as easy to make. So if you have something like with the grill, I think it's way better. But if you live, let's say like me, live in London, best thing you have is like a pan on the stove. I feel like it's just easier to, you get your ribeye, you toss it on the pan, and that comes out pretty nice.
I use an air fryer for some stuff, and I gotta say, I'm not a great lover of the air fryer for some meats. at all. I would rather do a pan
Yeah.
or rather do a barbecue. The air fryer has always been a mysteriously really good or not good device. I've been like, I really like this in an air fryer.
Some
and then
stuff works incredibly.
Yeah. And then other stuff, you're like, yeah, that's just not the way I like it. And it's probably growing up for years where you did cook things on a side for a while, right? And then you flip it over for a while, and many things you cooked might have steeped in their own juices. And when you get an air fryer, it's cooking on both sides, and a lot of that juice is down in a bottom, which you can certainly pour back on, but that's not the same thing. So yeah, there's
and you don't get the sear. You get, you don't with the grill.
Well, do you know
or
what
the
I
pan.
do? I do sear mine by turning my air fryer to 450, and I put it in there for a super short amount of time and crisp it, and then turn it down. That does work, but it's not the same thing as a contact. Contact cooking, by the way, is an actual thing.
Yeah.
Like it, you do get a different, like you said, where the crispiness can't escape down if you have a pan, but the crispiness and the bubbling and stuff can escape if it's just empty space below it. So I agree with you. Yeah, the pan is good. What else?
Sorry, by the way, I need to take a 2-minute break.
Oh, no, go ahead.
To open the door, take care of this. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll go on from here. So while he does that, let's go with Yeti says PS5 Pro recent upgrades. We talked about that. Pisser, it's got an upgrade. Looks good. Very happy to see it. All the console companies are using upscaling of some sort, so any improvements there. Pokemon 30th anniversary. I saw this. Not a Switch 1. The new Pokemon is not Switch 1. At least that's what the article I saw said, which was interesting to me. Let's see. Redemption says, good day, gents. Hope the week was going good. My question or discussion point is, even if you don't play those games, what are your opinions of game worlds evolving organically and creating their own play environment devs adapt to? For example, Arc Raiders or Helldivers have to deal with the community and how they interact with the game versus Marathon or Overwatch, which basically is letting players adapt to the world developed by the devs in a way they anticipated. And the devs, if at all, are the ones adjusting things slightly, rather than going all out on the player feedback. What do you think creates the healthier, more loyal, and profitable player base? It's a good question. It's a very good question. Good job, man. So the idea of, let's say, an Arc Raiders where you have a big open world and people can adjust more dynamically than a smaller one that might be a hero shooter, even though they obviously somebody's going to get mad and think he's saying that they don't change in those. They do. But we see with Arc Raiders the big pacifist movement that went on in Arc Raiders, and with Helldivers, we saw the massive changes to how they deal with things, what planets they go to, all really driven by the players choosing to do it, as well as their feedback with the DM that runs that Helldivers, I guess you'd call it, video game role-playing game. I don't think either one's more healthy. I'll say that for sure, because either one of those could have failed completely. And if your game isn't set up for the player choice base and everybody making a choice to play your game differently, if the game doesn't react to that, you could have an utter failure where you have people jumping into it going, this game, why are people playing it this way? The game doesn't support it and it feels broken or whatever. And they can't figure out, they don't have the support for the things they need in a game that they expect. And that's a big deal. When a player goes into a game, they've read the stuff that the developers stated it's going to be, and then they jump in. And if the player base is completely altered, then that person may not have the support system and teamwork and groups that they need to do their thing. And anybody who's played an MMO knows exactly what I'm talking about. If a particular raid is super popular or a raid is super unpopular, a new player may not know that, may want to experience it. And they go in and they don't have the support system they need, even in a game with a lot of players. Very real problem, very real issue that can pop up. So I would say neither one is more healthy. Like neither one, when you look at it, is something that you can say, okay, that's definitely more healthy than this other one. I think that developers need to make sure that they understand going into the future that this can be more of a sort of a chance of this occurring. But overall, I would say it's not something that a lot of devs take into account or try to really plan for. And they're doing it more now. They are planning more for it now. I would say the games we're seeing right now can't plan for it because they've been around for a great deal of time. They've been developed for a great deal of time. So they can't really put that in. So we'll see people looking at, you can bet your ass developers are looking at your Helldivers. Developers are looking at any of these games that have come out, and they're like, okay, these are things we might want to do. Maybe we want to shoot the gap and do something slightly askew or between those two. Or they might say, everybody else is going to make this choice to go this particular way. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to not do that. I'm going to play I'm going to make the game an old style game. And that can work because you get people who love those. There's so many gamers that there's a genre, or there's a, yeah, let me say it this way. There is an audience for almost every genre of game, all the way down to hentai, probably even darker than that. There is a current large enough player base of gamers in the world that there is a player base big enough to make almost any game of any kind popular. I would say that that is quite easy to prove too. Especially when you see almost every genre has that kickoff hit, which indicates that they have a certain number of fans or people that were attracted to that. Meaning, if you're looking at something, I'm going to joke here, but if you're looking at something, if you threw a bestiality game up there, honest truth is, I think Baldur's Gate proved a lot of people fucking like the idea of, you know, screwing animals, whatever. You got enough people who want to play that or are mysteriously interested in it, boom, they're going to jump to it. And there's enough people to make, if you look at the sales of those games at a certain price, there's enough people in the world who will be interested that if you do a good job in your PR, you do a good job on you know, onboarding, all that kind of stuff, making sure people know about your game, releases in a good time frame. There's enough people to make any genre popular right now. There is. I mean, we've seen it. It's like you look up any genre in Steam, there's almost always an outlier or many where you've got 500,000 sales. So, I mean, that's just the way it is, man. People, there's fans of everything. So it's a good question, but I don't think there's a popularity that is higher or lower, or that you can even track, or a sort of a sphere that you can aim for and say, this is what's going to work and this is better than something else. What I will say, though, is developers have to help themselves, meaning most developers probably shouldn't be on Twitter. A lot of the interviews and random stuff that they do probably should be very controlled or a bit more controlled. And I think a little bit more mystery helps. I really do. I think that right now, because of the advent of podcasts, you have people blathering a lot, and that blatherscape ends up spreading around, and you sometimes get a bad rumor about a game that turns out to not be true, but the bad rumor catches on and the correction never does. So the idea of how they develop their game and in which style probably doesn't matter as much as how they present it and prepare it. And I think a good example is Highguard. So if you guys go and read about Highguard, they had a plan for a small amount of time to have a couple play days for alpha testers, or maybe even a demo or beta testers. It got kiboshed really quick. And the idea that got kiboshed is completely confusing, because I'm in a multiple developer Slacks now for what I'm doing, as well as developer Discords. And the developers in there, some are producers, some are actually PR. So some of these people are publishers. And they're like, what are they thinking? Why would you ever, if you've got a game like that, which intrinsically connects to expertise in a particular way, you're asking players to play in an expertise environment. How is it humanly possible that somebody brought up the idea of doing a beta or a demo, which we see are super popular, to get people out there and play your game and reevaluate their ideas of what is going to be available, and use that feedback if you need to, adjust how your PR works, adjust how you work behind the scenes on your improvements that you want to put in. Some gamer comes up with a good idea and you're like, you know what? That's a good idea. It's not the same as early access. This is where you've given it out. They're playing it. It's pretty much fully done. You get that information back. That beta would have helped them a great deal, because here's the thing. They got fucked in a couple ways. 1, no demo. 2, no real announcement. 3, they surprised everybody in an event where the major sense of discourse around the entire event was the cost of the actual video trailers. So they did that, which screwed them, because then people were like, how did this small company we've never heard of get the money to do a trailer? Then you had the thing where it's like, oh no, I just sort of liked the game, so we gave them this trailer for free, and it caused a lot of bad press and bad vibe. We all have a vibe, regardless of press. You get a vibe about something, and it's not right. We don't know if it's right, but it actively causes you to change your purchasing patterns and your focus patterns. It was a mess up from top to bottom. Not the developer's fault. The game had its issues, but I think that if they had somehow got people into it and playing it, they could have then used that information to sort of make people go, you know what? Highguard is offering something slightly different. Maybe that's interesting to me. Instead, you looked at Highguard and said, maybe that's interesting to me. That is not what you want to hear day one. That is the worst. That is almost worse than people dislike it, because at least then maybe you'll get people the opposite, where somebody's like, it can't be that bad, play it and like it. But if there's confusion around your game and it's a launch game, like it's ready for launch and there's nobody playing it, and you're just like, boom, here you go. Damn, son. That is all bad things in a row. All bad things. The question was, Johnny, let me read the question.
Lack of playtest
go ahead.
Was a big one. The lack of playtest, I think, was one of the worst.
He was just saying, if he was asking if there's a better or worse way to release a game when it comes to your Arc Raiders open PvE style versus your Highguard closed in, Overwatch closed in, and if the game players who are playing them change the zeitgeist, which Helldivers changes it via everybody choosing to defend one planet, or Arc Raiders where they decide to go pacifist out of the blue. Your game isn't a pacifist game. The game is all about equipment to kill other people, fighting over a tuna can. So it's like, okay, the gamers want to play it a different way. I also think that there's a huge possibility that what works in 1 month may not work later. Meaning, just because they're pacifist now, you don't want the developers changing a ton towards pacifist because people think it's too pacifist. This reminds me of why some people love fishing games in video games that are open world and don't like fishing games normally. Because there's a bit of friction, and it's not as... You're like, I'm doing something that's different. You know, I shouldn't be spending time in this, but it's easy to do, and suddenly you've spent 5 hours fishing in Far Cry 5. You're doing something that isn't necessarily fully developed, but in there, there's an intrinsic little mystery and fun to that. And if you make your game, if Far Cry released and they're like, we have 60 new fishing lures and blah, 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 you'd be like, great, but guess what? You gave me 50 fishing lures. I want to test them all, but you still got the fucking honey badgers killing me every 7 seconds. When I didn't have all that shit to worry about, there was no... Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that mystery and that little push against the game is one thing, but if the developer goes and says, boom, this is now what's going on, then people who jump in on the initial explanation of the game don't have support. Raids that you can't fill because people hate it, or whatever. We've all had that. At least I have. I've definitely had it where I jump into a game that's popular and find out entire sections of the game isn't popular. Entire sections of the game isn't popular. And those are sections I want to try out. Destiny's a great example. Jump into Destiny, you have no clue if what you want to do is even fucking being done anymore. So I got to let this dog out. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like on organically changing gameplay of something? Like League does it a little bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, they do it a little bit. Other games like Space Marine 2 does it as well. And they do it based on feedback. But there have been issues in the past where they overcorrected as well. So stuff like the difficulty, where at some point people were complaining that the chaos enemies were way too OP, way too frustrating, and then they kind of overcorrected, and then those became too boring to play against. And so I think it's a tricky balance, like taking the feedback from the community, because like you said, what they are complaining about this month might not actually be a true signal, and instead might just be kind of a passing impression that people have. And then if you base your entire direction on that, that could be a mistake, or you could end up overcorrecting. So I think always the dev team needs to have a very clear vision of what they want the game to be, right? So that they're making tweaks and not changes in direction. It's not because people complained that like the maps were too empty or they didn't like the 3v3. You're
Right.
now changing your game to be, you know, something completely different. It's more that you're making small corrections incrementally. That's hopefully the, you know, the way that these things work out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because you're doing something no one else has done before, man. Your book doesn't change. You release that fucking book. If those pages changed, people be like, magic exists. Let's all go to Harry Potter and learn some magic at Hogwarts. That doesn't happen. Music doesn't change. You release something and it's solid. Video games do. Video games do. Like, and that is a distinct, it is a massive difference between everything else. And it is a troublesome one that has an insane return and also has one of the most devastating failure rates, I think, known in the industry. Because if you hit wrong,
Yeah.
it's wrong, you know, and you find out. And that, by the way, here's the thing, guys. The game doesn't have to suck. It's very easy to align your world black and white and say game's good, game's bad. If the game is good, but the parts of it that you're trying to play aren't supported because the entire fiction is slightly altered because of this new way everybody's playing, it's not fun for you. And therefore, it's not a sale. It's not continued feedback to them. It's not positivity on Twitter. It's like people will say, hey, blah, blah, blah. You've seen it, Johnny. Somebody will say, I played this game, but bounced off of it. Right? Like that's the term, bounced off of it. So, you know.
Yeah. Now we bounce off very, very quickly from games.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. That was a good
I think
question,
the harsh
man.
reality. Damn. Yeah. The harsh reality sometimes is that your concept for the game didn't click with people. And that's kind of a hard pill to swallow because there isn't an amount of feedback you can take in that's going to turn your game into something people necessarily want to play. So it's not like, sure, that, you know, the beta would have helped in this case where they can make some tweaks. But if it ends up that that concept as a whole is not something people are interested in, that's a bet they took and it didn't pan out. You know, and that's how it is. It could have gone that way for Arc Raiders, for example. It just so happened that people clicked with that game, you know, and it continued to do well.
Same thing, by the way, is a perfect correlation to this is YouTube. I'll post something and somebody say, I don't like the way you do stuff now. And somebody will say, the way you do stuff now, I love. And you're like,
what should you take
what
in,
do I do? You know, and so I don't read them because I'm just like, there's nothing I can do to like instigate any change that is functional between both of those people. And both of those people aren't the other 500,000 that watch something. So you're stuck. That kind of stuff is just, it's a new YouTuber starts up, they start doing reviews, they decide to do previews. Their viewership doesn't like previews. But they changed because people said they'd watch previews and they started looking at what people are complaining about. It's one of the reasons why negative feedback and the loop humans have, which is risk versus reward, risk being so high, people change on risk a lot of times. And the people who are telling you that something's wrong may be that really loud minority. Most of the time it is a really loud minority if you have a lot of people playing. That's the other thing too. If you have a lot of people playing and some people are loud and they seem to have a lot of people behind them and they say you need to change the entire way the game plays, it can be quite easy for somebody to mistake that for everybody saying it. But if you still have a bunch of people playing the game that you released, you need to look at why they're still playing. You need to be like, if this was an issue, wouldn't we be seeing a drop or what? Then you got to go, oh, did that get magnified somehow?
Yeah.
And
what is the real signal?
What is the real signal if there
noise?
is even one? You know, I mean, the thing is signal is noise, right? Like when you think about it. So it's like, all right, you know, it's all noise. Yeah. It's interesting. Very good. Very good question. Redemption said that. All right. Phil Strider. Hey, gamers. Hey, gamers. Happy Requiem Day. What's your take on games with native to the game setting, voice work, and dubbed work? Do you repeat playthroughs in the game's native tongue? I, for the most part, play in English. But for example, Plague's Tale set in France. I played through it the first time in English, really enjoyed the game. And for a second playthrough, I played it in French with English subtitles and loved the voice work just as much. I played AC Shadows and Ghost of Tsushima in Japanese too, and thought it was well done, even if Jin's English voice actor is who I hear when I see the character in my head. And Yakuza is a series I can't play in anything but Japanese, but the option is there. I don't understand Klingon, man. It'll always be my answer. I have no clue. I mean, it might as well.
So
be
you're not
Yakuza
a fan, right, of subs?
It might as
in
well
general
be
for
Yakuza
content?
on an alien planet. Yeah, because I don't hear more emotion because I know that Japanese can sound super emotional and it's actually not. So that could confuse me if I read the word and then go, oh, this word must matter, and find out, nope, didn't matter. That's just the way tonally they say it. I love that it's an option. It's just not for me. Yeah, I think it's a great option. It should always be there. Always.
Yeah, there's something unique about Japanese where I don't mind listening to it. If it's any other language, let's say it's like German as the original, I would always choose English. It would be the same for French, by the way. I would never play a game fully in French. Doesn't matter. Expedition 33, doesn't matter what game you tell me. I'm not playing that in French. But there's something about Japanese that I find compelling because they have ways of like screaming and doing these like weird voices and noises that don't work in English. So you end up with like a very different delivery that you could like more or less. But there is something I find cool about the Japanese sounds they make.
And
the same thing with anime.
Sometimes. That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think it's fed because of your also love of anime? So to you, it's just a more familiar territory. And there's a lot of context you bring into each game where you're like, I sort of know what I should expect here. Where a person who doesn't watch anime or whatever is going to be like, I have no clue, you know? But
I think if you're trying to be really apprised of the story, it really hurts it for me if I have to read everything in the subtitles.
Yeah.
So, for example, Ghost of Tsushima, I played all of that in Japanese, and it kind of it was difficult to keep track of like everything that was going on with the story.
I felt the same way. Yeah.
And like connect to the characters and stuff. So I definitely struggled on that one, I would say. Whereas Neo 3 is, because the story is a bit less consequential, it's a bit more just an excuse to beat people up, right? I'm kind of flowing with it, and like sometimes I miss stuff, but it's all good. It's kind of just there, and it almost helps me tune it out as well. I'm mostly just focused on the gameplay, and then it's just kind of like sound, you know, it's like diegetic sound going on.
In many ways, I agree with that one with Neo too, because there were a couple just sort of goofy, cheesy voice lines in English, and the story was so it wasn't throwaway. They tried to tell a good story, but it was sort of what they said at the starting and didn't really develop too much, which is fine, by the way. Games can do that. That I could have listened to that in Vulcan and not been too bothered. But I would say the same thing, reading subtitles. And then the biggest problem I have, and I keep bringing it up, and people pretend that they never have this issue, so I get it. I guess, I'll admit I'm the stupidest person. But when I'm playing a game and the character is giving you diegetic information via voice while you're fighting an enemy, and I have to look at a subtitle to understand what the hint is.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't read that. Like, I'm fighting this dude.
And as a reviewer, maybe, but I did this prior, so it probably stuck with me. But as a reviewer, not even as a reviewer, because even in games I'm not reviewing, I do the same thing. If I miss a couple things, that's usually an indicator that there's, I got to switch it. Because I've missed stuff in English because a big explosion's going off and somebody's like, hey, you need to shoot it right. And you're like, in the fucking what? And guess what? Almost never, you see it sometimes, almost never does a game take all the stuff said and put it in a journal. So you'll find the quest data still, but you won't find what that son of a bitch was trying to give you as data earlier. In the middle of a fight or a battle. So yeah, that's just for me though. That's just me. That's just the way it is. Paul says, hi guys, my favorite day of the week, up early to do some hard enduro dirt bike riding up in the mountains and listening to you guys while I drive. 1.5 hours out of the Blue Mountains, Sydney. So what motorbike do you have? What enduro? Because that's what I used to race. Enduro's awesome, man. Ugh, love it. The Jostler, $5 super chat. What is your Snickers vein of gaming? A girthy imperfection that makes a big game more replayable. For example, Minority Report on PS2's glitches. So An imperfection that actually doesn't bother you in a main game. An imperfection that doesn't bother you.
I guess like the jank in something like Dark Souls 3 is something that I find familiar and kind of like comfortable.
Kind of comfortable.
Because, we always say it's kind of floaty and the engine is not the greatest and all that. But there is something familiar and comfortable about that where I feel pretty easy jumping back if I decide to like do another playthrough now with a friend. It does feel pretty good to jump back into, even if I know objectively it's not the greatest. I think that's the closest thing to a Snickers vein.
Yeah. Well, I also think of the Snickers vein as something that adds to it that you didn't expect, not something like I never expected a candy bar to have like veins, and it cracks me up. But anyway, mine was going to be the same thing, but it was going to be about like Lost Judgment or Judgment, where there's a bit of jank in control in the Yakuza games. They still control better than, let's say, a Resident Evil, whatever. But they definitely could be better. If we're using this comment to consider an imperfection, I would say they still feel pretty stoved up sometimes, but definitely less stoved up than a Dark Souls or Resident Evil. But there are times where I'll play a Yakuza going, or the collision detection is weird, or there's something weird in them. I play a lot of Eurojank games, so it's very hard to like identify. It's very hard to identify an imperfection that I really know, and I'm like, I hated this, but I still like the game. That's usually bugs. It's almost always bugs.
I also don't think of the vein as an imperfection. I kind of view it as
it's added
something that's so it's something clearly not necessary technically, and yet, like we said, we miss it if it's not there. In a weird way.
It's a texture, really, to the game.
Exactly.
Or to the vein.
So I think, or to the vein.
Yeah.
So something like in Judgment, one thing that I found along those lines is all the silly little moments where like someone stole the cake in the fridge, and you had a whole case that was like trying to figure out who stole the cake. That is not technically needed. You could almost say it's fluff because it was like a unnecessary quest.
Right.
But that to me was memorable. I remember that was fun, that added to the whole experience, and something that, albeit not necessary, actually did add to the experience a great deal.
Yeah. EF says that I missed his super chat. Okay, here we go. EF Bay, $10 super chat. $10 super chat. Happy Friday, guys. Question: if I'm PC only but want to play stuff like GTA, Wolverine near release, is a PS5 Pro better to just buy now given the recent news, RAM prices, and no more PC ports? So that's not news. That's a rumor, and their big ones will still come, I assume. I would say that, dude, listen, I don't know why anybody doesn't do this, so I'm just going to offer it as a middle ground. Find a friend that's got a PS5 and play it, and play a big game on it. And then if you have the experience that you enjoy the controller, you enjoy the PlayStation Store, you enjoy the way the games plays on PlayStation, then buy it. There are so many ways to get a device. By the way, Sony also now has a rental service for their consoles. I'm not saying to rent it forever, but I'm saying if you wanted to go and check, there are many ways to do it without spending a great deal of money, especially if you're asking us 5 years into the generation, or 4, whatever how many ever years we're into these generations. If you're still asking it and haven't chosen, that means the draw isn't and hasn't been worth the money. So my experience would be find a friend who's got one, find a place that rents one, find some way to get your hands on one for a short amount of time, play one game on it, just one. Then if you like it, you'll be able to make a much more, I think, a much more integrated decision into if you want to buy it or not, versus just sort of stepping off and saying, I haven't got it for this amount of time, but I'm worried something in the future may possibly perhaps happen. And that is really where we're stuck with a lot of these discussions about Sony. So that That would be, you know, I guess
that makes sense. You shouldn't buy a console for like the future games that are gonna come out on it, in my opinion.
They could be on the
unless
next,
it really becomes very like hard
system.
to come by.
Yeah, they could be on the next system. I saw people buy, I think it was a PS3 for Last Guardian. Never even came out on the system. It got delayed until it was on another system, and they were buying it for that. Many people were like, "Oh, I can't wait to play Last Guardian." You're like, well, sorry, buddy, because you are now screwed. So yeah, I would say get it from a friend, use the rental services. We have rental services in town that rent PlayStations. So like, you know, the Rentones, if you don't trust those, they're pretty trustworthy. But if you don't, there's all kinds of ways to get them. And again, Sony has some kind of rental system. I haven't checked into it, but they did show some stuff in the last couple of days on it. And by the way, there's a reason why they're doing that. I think we can all, you know, they want you to jump in. I mean, any rental service of hardware, there's sort of the hope that you'll jump in and keep paying them. But yeah, test it out first, man. And give yourself one game, guy. Don't fucking buy it. And then because there's all kinds of like buyer's remorse that can pop up. There's the ability for you to think it's worth more because you finally got it. Instead, make a clear decision based on an experience you have for a very small amount of money for a very expensive device. That's the best way to make it. I mean, I feel like it's the best way, but maybe that's not the way anybody works. But I would much rather borrow my friend's PlayStation and just be like, can I borrow that and try?
If it's really hinging on one game, especially. You know?
Yeah, because by the way, this would be a different answer if you're in the midst of what they were doing 3 years ago, which was a bunch of games. But they've got nothing other than Wolverine, and we don't even know what's happening with the service games, and that's not a great future. So,
and we know those are gonna tend to be multi-platform anyway.
That's exactly
like the live service ones.
Yeah. So if they, it's not even. It may not even be what you want. A lot of people look at Sony for the third-person open-world games. They don't look at them for the other stuff. And so maybe you're interested in a world, but you don't find yourself interested in their backlog. Be prepared. Their backlog is their future log for Sony, also, because those games do well, which means you're looking at a sequel. Like, not to be rude, but that is right. Like, I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
If you look at it, it's like, oh, this backlog is my future log with the number 2 after a bunch of these titles. That's sort of how it happens. I mean, it shouldn't be that surprising to people, but it is for some reason.
It's funny. I hadn't thought of it in that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
It's sort of sad that it makes sense, but that does make sense. Like that, you know, if it does really well and you really thought about it, you're like, oh, maybe I should.
Yeah, it's like sex. If it worked pretty well the first time, you're likely to want to do it again.
Yeah. Didn't even know you could rent. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, feels bad investing at the end of a life cycle. It does. End of a life cycle is where some great games come out, but they usually come out at a lesser tact than at starting. You never know how the releases are going to go, but you know, they've got some good games, and some are on the PC. You could also do half and half and buy yourself a PlayStation controller and play it on the PC because you're going to be interacting with that controller for the rest of your fucking life. And if you don't like the controller, sorry, you're screwed. Like on these systems,
that's a deal breaker.
Well, at minimum, it's an extra $80 that you're going to have to add on top of something if you don't like the controller. You know, to buy a third party, and you have to worry about third party support. Well, you have to worry about Sony support.
I think we're not yet at like end of life.
No,
territory.
We've got another 2-3 years.
Yeah,
minimum.
Solid 2 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but again, we already know what the solid 2 years has for a majority, which is service games and sequels. That's not dissing on them. That's,
you're going to have your 1 or 2 really big ones, maybe exclusive, and then everything else open.
Yeah. I'm excited for Wolverine, though, but I'm not excited enough that if you said, hey, Jeremy, you don't have a...
I'm not like $600 excited.
Yeah. Oh, for example, I have a PlayStation 5. I was not going to buy the Pro. I was like, what the fuck? That is not a good upgrade for that cost. But I wanted to try it for a review, so I borrowed a PlayStation 5 Pro and immediately was like, no fucking way. No way. Not because it's bad per se, but the difference between the base and that, and an additional amount of money for many games that don't really take as much advantage of it as you would hope for that amount of cash was ridiculous. Now, he's not the same way. He doesn't have one at all. But I was smart about it, I guess I would say. I mean, maybe not smart because I could put it in reviews and get more views by saying I'm going to break down every. But when it comes to the PlayStation in particular and the Xbox Series X, I'm like, those are good devices for where they are. They generally do what I expect from those devices. They have a performance hit here and there. They're not as good at ray tracing, little stuff that you expect. So, yeah. Good question, though. And I apologize for missing that super chat. I don't know. Usually I have a warning, but it didn't pop up. Or maybe it did, and I was actually probably typing something in. Let's see. Next up. Generic white gal. So, character number 5 in Mass Effect. Generic white gal. She or he says, thank you guys for consistent quality content and community. Yeah, community, I got to say, you guys are great, man. The last couple, whatever, I'm not even going to do it. I've been having a lot of fun. That's all I'll say. Have there been past or potential future podcast guests you thought would be interesting to pair up in one shared conversation? Do you just mean a guest? Am I reading that wrong? Have there been past or potential future podcast guests you thought would be interesting to pair up in one shared conversation? Maybe he means like she means like Digital Foundry or something.
Collaboration with some other.
Yeah, maybe so. I think it's met because Johnny does his own stuff. He didn't prior, but in a weird way, I get it because 2 or 3 people were influencers or game streamers at times, like Abzy and Takedown. Reg streamed for years. People, he had small following, but he streamed. So I get it from these guys. And then I would say the types of guests we want are usually the ones who don't require questions up front, are good, are okay with some jokes. We definitely can control ourselves, and are highly interesting. I'm just going to be brutally honest on this point, to me, because I'm the one setting it up, and some days Johnny or Silver's only here every other week. So if it's interesting to him, I would have to schedule it and make sure it was on a weekend he could do. Yeah, there's some, but I mean, nothing that pops to mind. I don't really like collaboration at all. I think it's gross as a word. I do. It's way too business-like. For if I'm inviting Gaming Addict on to play games while we're talking in a podcast and not pay attention,
it makes it sound a bit transactional.
Yeah, maybe. Man. Yeah, it's way too do you want to collab? No, yeah, I guess not in the collab form, but in friends form, people that I like and that I'm interested in, or Johnny's interested in because he's brought up some names. We put the thing in the Discord where it's like, hey, what's some guest wish lists? We just look at what's interesting because the person has to be interesting too. I'm not going to be a fucking mouthpiece for any company ever. So we have been offered we have an offering every week a lot of times for the typical, I just announced my game at the game trailers. Can I come on your podcast? Most of the time, I don't know enough about the game. And so I'm like, no, thanks.
It's also not easy to talk with someone for 3 or 4 hours like we do that you don't know. If you don't know anything about the person, how they talk, how interesting are they, what are they into, is there any overlap between the stuff you're interested in that you might want to ask about.
That's why we have Fighting Cowboy on, or Victor from Vermintide.
Easy to talk to
who isn't, especially if they're sort of there's clickbaity stuff, they're probably not coming on, right? Probably not coming on. It's just not going to happen. And I just don't care about doing the stuff everybody else does, and I think that if I did, it would feed back into everything else. It would just make it worse and worse. But we do have interviews with developers when they have really good stuff. There's a couple I've reached out to. We did try, and we got very close to having Ken Levine on because he was generous enough to accept it, but to scheduling and other stuff sort of kiboshed that for a little while. Brian Fargo has stated he's wanted to come on a couple times. He's been on twice. We are getting him back on. So developers, Gaming Addict, Solve, let's see, all the Iron Lords guys have been on a couple times. Problem is, if they do their own podcast, it's very hard to really say, hey, man, you know what? Do you want to spend 4 hours on your only Friday? I feel very bad.
It's tough. Yeah,
I reached out to Fighting Cowboy one time, and I'm like, listen, this is short notice, but we're going to talk about this game. I'd love for you to, you know, come on. But you do know we're going to be talking about random shit, too. And that usually gets them. They usually like that. Like when I say we could be talking about the best steak cut, and he's a cook, you know, or Victor loves cooking. Remember, Victor went off for like an hour and a half.
He was on a journey.
He was on a journey. Yeah. So it's fun. If that's what you meant, hopefully that answered it. If not, but
Asa is great as well. Asa does his own podcast, but
Asa, Gaz, pretty much I can say this, every single person we've ever had on I've liked, but that's because I vet for a long time prior. And I don't want to be the mouthpiece for anybody. Like, I get really shady if somebody's like, hey, can I come on your podcast? We're releasing a game. And I'm like, I don't know. Because what if the game sucks? What if there's some big controversy and then you're just stuck there going like, oh my God, like, you know, we gave support to this fucking POS company.
Or sometimes there's nothing interesting to talk about. Like, you've already, you know, covered the basic stuff, and it's like, sorry.
I would say the one gap in that is probably really cool, interesting developers who've worked on big engines. I love those guys, and composers. You're going to still see composer stuff from me. I mean, the composer with Elijah Chuck did exactly the super low views I thought it would, and I didn't care. I even warned him. He's like, hey, I want to come on and talk and just gab with you. Austin Wintory's done it. I'm like, I would love to. If you're coming here because you want a bunch of people viewing it, it's not going to happen because we've changed the podcast too many times. We're not even on the same channel. But if you just want to come and gab, and all of them, all the composers say the same thing. They're like, no, I just want to talk to somebody who actually talks about music and reviews. So we get to sit down and just laugh about all. Elijah Chuck's was great. And few people saw that video, like in the scheme of things. And I told him, I'm like, you know, it did good for a composer interview, but you know, it's hard. Some people turn off the music when they're playing a fucking game. Like, music's hard. Music's tough.
To some extent, people don't. I say people, like some people don't care about music. You know, in the
true.
In the grand scheme of things.
Let's see. Townfall is PS5 exclusive. Phantom Blade. Phantom Blade 0 is for at least a year. Maybe that new Horizon game will be good despite the controversy.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, it depends. I mean, the Horizon, I don't know. What do you think about the Horizon multiplayer game?
I don't like the visual style, man. I'm not into it. You know? Someone said bring Sasha Grey. Would be a blast.
I mean, I've talked. She's been nice enough. I was having some issues on Twitter, with YouTube, and she was nice enough to respond back a couple times. She'd be definitely fun to interview. Todd Howard, somebody said. Todd, I absolutely would love to interview, but I don't know if he would answer the questions or be able to answer the questions I have. He would be able to, from his point of view, because I don't want somebody coming on and their first question is the same shit you've heard in every other interview ever. So even Ken Levine's, the questions I had were way not what you've heard before. And that's because it needs to be interesting to me and it needs to be new. I don't like repeat. Dude, if I, you know, it reminds me of The Simpsons. You know, your political campaign is, you know, got the energy of a runaway train. How, you know, blah, 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 where it's just all canned. Like, hey, man, so you got a new game. You just hit that.
I am sorry.
That just went out.
That's my cat.
It was a perfect,
my cat hit that
It was
effect.
perfect timing for what we were talking about. It was like right when I said what I hate. It's like,
oh, man.
Let's see. Yeah. Let me look at my news list. We actually have a bunch of other smaller news, too. Stardew Valley 1.7 update adds marriage. There's a new baseball game coming out July 2026. It's Backyard Baseball, which I love. If you had Sasha Grey on, I'm sure you get a lot of people watching. Yeah, but it depends on if I want them watching. Like, if you're saying it for the reason why I think you're saying it, I wouldn't care about that. I would want it because she actually plays games and does a better job than I think people would expect, you know, her to do.
Exactly.
So it'd be fun to talk about.
I think that's the interesting story, actually.
Yeah. I would be asking questions, by the way, that are weird for her, too. I mean, not weird, but they wouldn't be the typical. I mean, I'm not saying that it would be all about porn or whatever, but I would want to ask about life and the things that interest me about how she came about. And, you know, you can control that and certainly be very respectful of them. But I'm not going to ask the same questions, man. Dude, the same. I think I told you this. I went on podcasts and they're like, so the greatest reviewer, I think you're the greatest reviewer of all time. ACG's on the podcast. And I wasn't trying to be a jerk, but I was like, you don't need to say that because I heard you say it last week to another reviewer. Like, it's like, I watch your stuff. You may not think I'm not a normal guest. If I'm going to be on your channel, I'm going to watch all your shit. And you watch it and it's like, no, you're the best. No, you're the best. You're the best. And the best. And the best. And the best. And the best. Best. Hey, guess what? Best. You're the best. And I'm like, dude, fucking, it's so disrespectful. It's not purposely disrespectful. It's just, you could have just said funny or interesting, you know, go with interesting. Interesting is the gender neutral of comments about somebody. Carrick's interesting, you know, doesn't put you on one side or the other. It's just like,
you don't like compliments, do you? Too much?
I like them when they're real, and I think almost no one gives real compliments. Ever. That's the honest truth.
It's hard to give a good, genuine compliment sometimes, too. Because you could have like a good...
I don't think so,
You could
Johnny.
have a good intention, but you just come across as...
No, you want to give a good... Dude, if I'm going to waste calories giving a fucking compliment, it's going to be real. Real. So when I say, hey, man, I love working with you, if I didn't, you would hear me say stuff in a different way. I wouldn't bring it up. I don't have time for bullshit. And the idea of fucking complimenting somebody when it's fake is it fucking sucks, man. It sucks. It's very hard to describe. And other people are cool with it because they're trying to use it to expand their channel. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to expand my channel by going on Co's podcast or whatever. He's not going to expand his coming on mine. I'm not going to be sitting here and going like, you're the best Twitch streamer when there's 7,000 Twitch streamers. I would say something
some type
about
of like
him.
Networking.
Yeah, you say something about that person and you say something that's distinct to that person. And it also hints that they know most people don't watch. And so they're allowed to say it multiple times. And so it pisses me off. Yeah, it makes me very mad. It sounds really stupid stuff. I watched all your stuff, Carrick to Sasha Grey. I would say that. It would be a lie because I watched all of her stuff. But no, I wouldn't say that. But
that's funny in that context.
It is funny. It wouldn't even be about that for her. It would be honestly about. So let me tell you, a Sasha Grey interview would probably start out discussing how she had the mental fortitude to jump from what is considered by many to be a disgraceful whatever, you know, past in history. How do you get
almost shameful in the past?
How do you get the confidence? How did she get where does she think her confidence comes where she's able to do something that many people who are really strong fail at anyway when they become a YouTuber and they hear a negative comment? Like where's her confidence come from? And it doesn't have to be from that. It can be the fact that she did a movie that was actually considered very good. The Girlfriend Experience was considered very good. A lot of people loved it. I want to talk about like what makes the person. And then you can talk about the other stuff if they want to, but also if you sat here with me and talked about my work at HP for an entire podcast, I'd be like,
it's a bit weird.
That's a bit fucking weird. So why would I do it in any other way?
Yeah.
It fucking sucks. The most words used in a review is ACG. They could say that. No, they couldn't. Dude, there's people doing 35-minute reviews, and they're way more than me. And by the way, I know because I track it. Way more actual intellectual words? Yes. At the wrong time? Sometimes. Next up, GTA 6 delay gave a studio relief, says the Lego Batman dev. Developers of Lego Batman commented that when GTA 6 delayed, it impacted their development and their ability of like sort of feeling a little comfortable, you know, and I liked that. I thought that was it was real. That was a real, you know, it was real because it indicates there was frustration and worry and nervousness around it. And it indicates that now with it not happening, it gives them a little comfort zone. I think that's awesome. Let's see. I don't talk about codes. I don't want to talk about that. Oh, okay, Johnny, I didn't give you this. I know nothing about this. So if anybody in chat wants to feed some data in about this, even just what they read, this is fine. Steam Next Fest faces massive backlash over AI content flood. The annual Steam Demo Fest drew criticism for an overwhelming number of AI-generated entries. Well, they've opened up AI, right? Didn't they say you just have to claim it or something on Steam? I feel like that's Steam's only requirement is you claim it and put the tag on it, right? Or did they change that?
That is how Steam is working with that. There have been lots of complaints that Steam Fest is like flooded with AI slop. That's what people are saying, or asset flips and that kind of stuff. I haven't followed it too closely, though. I don't know like what
me neither. I did
substance there is.
It's the very first words I'm hearing about it. It doesn't surprise me because I think the requirement is simply engaging with the tag system currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here I have some data on it, if you want.
Yeah, no, I'd love it.
So it says this is just an article I was reading about it. It says Steam Fest is in full flow. It goes on to say there are currently 3,455 games participating in the event.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Fuck. Anyway.
And let's see. Trying to see if there's anything to the context of the AI thing. Here it says some gamers want a filter that would allow them to find games from developers or publishers they already have games from.
Ooh,
but the biggest request seems to...
Sorry. That's a good filter.
That would,
that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, that would be practical. But it says the biggest request seems to be a way to filter out games with heavy use of generative AI.
I'm going to let my dogs out. Continue.
Go for it. Come on, I gotta put, yeah. Quote, I wish Valve would add AI to official game tags so I could filter those out. At least then I would only have to ignore the human-made, soulful asset flip and porn game. It really sucks how those genres make it so actual games barely show up in the discovery feed. But I think there is a tag, isn't there, chat? Someone can correct me in chat. I can also look it up right now on Steam.
There was. Yeah, I thought there was a AI.
Yeah, I think
for sure thought there was one. Huh.
Yeah. So we can check
socks. I'm gonna let my dogs out. Takes off socks. Deagle says, if I was wearing fucking socks. I'm just joking. I am. That is interesting. So they have the requirement, is what people are saying, in Steam. You're supposed to tag that you do have AI, but for some reason that's not in the filter yet. Okay. So we all know why it's not in the filter. Right? Valve makes a shit ton of money off the devs. They're not going to filter that. I mean, I don't think, because people would just turn it on and there would be some game that only had a single word that was fixed by ChatGPT, like Alters, where they had like one translation that was done. And there's no way. There is a way. They could choose to do it, but that seems very, like 30% from every dev is what they're making right now. And Steam Fest results in tons of sales. And a lot of devs don't like Steam Fests. So, I mean, who does anybody think Steam Fests are really for? That's a question. Because I don't in any way, shape, or form think it's for anybody. Because a dev can change their price. So who do we think Steam... Come on. Who's Steam... come on. They had a horse game, Steam Fest. They have a fucking...
They had a horse fest.
Yeah. Does anybody think that was to draw a bunch of attention to games because fucking somebody randomly likes horses? That is completely on Valve. They are doing it for Valve. I'm sorry, has nothing to do with anything else. Nothing whatsoever. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's probably sad but true.
It would be factually one of the most interesting aspects that have ever occurred in gaming if it wasn't true. Right?
Yeah, Horse Fest is crazy. What? I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, they're going to have Horse Fest. They'll have Bestiality Fest,
It's
you
like
know, so that
game
Larian's the
contains
only game
horse.
in there that's you know, even shown. Like, yeah, that it's for Valve. It's for Valve. It's solidly for Valve. I mean, does anybody think a fucking car sale at a goddamn car show is for the car manufacturer? Does anybody fucking think that? They probably do. I just realized maybe they do. They think that when you go to a music store, the sale is there for Gibson guitars because it's to help Gibson guitars. Does anybody fucking believe that? Of course not. It's for the company that's selling them. Come on. God damn, come on, man. That makes me so mad.
It makes sense.
Well, too bad.
Yeah, sometimes people don't view Valve as a storefront. They just kind of view it as a general platform.
Well, some people don't think that the world is round. I mean, it is that. It is a storefront. They can believe whatever they want, but they would be factually wrong. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, they're selling games.
Yeah. They're factually wrong. That is what it is. You Mad Dog said Horsefest was lit. Ooh, I haven't heard lit in a while. I like it.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I already filter out. This is Dylan J saying I already filter out games like Job Sims. Oh, man, you cold-hearted son of a bitch.
Some of those are great.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to seek out to see if a game uses Gen AI. There's no reason for them to not give us the option. Just makes me waste time having to check each one. And the fact that I bet you 50% aren't telling people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be tricky.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky. It's going to be very...
What does it mean for it to be like heavily used, you know?
Yeah. And
AI heavily used.
And didn't they also say that you don't even have to claim it if you use it for the programming side?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Again,
of shit.
wherever they put the line for that, there's going to be a way to skirt it. So,
yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, man, yeah, that's a weird one. I don't even know how you fix that other than just putting the filter on there. They should. The filters, I mean, an official filter for something that they've made a rule about seems like it should be in the filters. If you've made a rule and you've demanded developers apply it.
But I think that is the thing. They need a good rule. And the rule is a bit
The rule is still
shaky
pretty
now.
shaky. Yeah, the rule's pretty shaky. You know why, though? It's because none of those guys want to put their foot down when they know what's coming. And they're really worried about like putting their foot down, then having to reverse it, which is going to cause double the angst. There's a little safety and mystery, right? Somebody will say, hey, Carrick, you going to do this review on this game? And if I don't know, or let's say I have the game and I can't say I'm doing the review, I'll either skip the question or be like, yeah, I'm thinking about it, you know, maybe. Because the mystery is better than being like, yes, and then you don't get code, and people get pissed. I've had patrons leave, and all I was trying to do was say, you know, I was told by the company or whatever, hey, I'm going to do this for sure. They don't give you the code, and now you have to be like, wah, wah. You know, I'm not going to be able to do it. Hushao Ghoul, $20 super chat, number 3. ACG is the best game reviewer who makes walk and the walk videos, has worked at HP, and at least once a year rents a technology-free cabin to play board games. Thank you every Friday. That is exactly what podcasts should do when I come on and visit. That would be better.
That should be the intro.
By the way, that's better because do you know what it is? He said best. So if you take away the best, ACG is a YouTube game reviewer that makes it's all fact, right? It's I like the
best
Ron
is
Swan.
good. A little emotion.
No.
That's genuine right
Bullshit,
there.
because they said best to somebody else because people throw up best for everything. This is the best steak I've ever had. Yeah, the steak yesterday you said was the best you ever had.
When you call someone your goat and you're saying that to like multiple people in the same day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Okay, but like how technology free is this cabin? How?
No cell phone service whatsoever, or I won't rent it.
Okay. Do we have electricity?
It's hard. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So running water, electricity, like basic stuff.
We try to say no cell phones brought at all because, you know, I'll hear somebody say, what if there's an emergency? And I'm like, I don't know, but we got here through evolution. So I feel like people can take care of themselves.
We'll work it out. Yeah.
I don't rent a place that's in the middle of nowhere where you don't have a house within a mile or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, I just like it to be, you know, I pay for it too. I pay it all. So I rent the place. I pay all of it. So I feel like it's safe for me to make the rules. And if the person doesn't want to come, that's also cool. They can say,
ground rules.
I need a cell phone. And I'm like, you know, if they said somebody was sick or whatever, you know, they're a parent with a kid, Absolutely. We'd be like, yeah, we'd put a cell phone
Sure.
in a bag or whatever. Sometimes we've gone and sort of put our cell phones on the table if you get one that does have a little bit of service, because they try to sell, they want you to have service, right? But we're renting it for a different reason, which is the lack of service. I don't want to be checking if somebody said, you're the best, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
You
at that
suck.
time.
YouTube commenter.
Yeah. So, yeah. The best anything. Steam is the best. Carrick's the best. Johnny's the best. Fuck off.
The GOAT.
The GOAT. Is the GOAT. Dude, I still remember, I don't know if you heard this story. There were people working with Meryl Streep, and they were talking about her being the GOAT of actresses, because Meryl Streep's incredible, right?
Okay. Yeah. She should be in the running.
She should, especially if she knew what the fuck GOAT meant. So she walks over to the group, and they've called her the GOAT all day. And she suddenly turns to them and says, I guess I sort of in the GOAT. I am the older person who's sort of cranky. And everybody looked at her and were like, what? She's like, well, yeah, I guess I am sort of a GOAT. And they're like, my God, that's not what we meant. Greatest of all time. And I was like, damn. First of all, you got to know who you're fucking talking to. If I came up to my grandmother and said, you're the GOAT grandmother, I would explain what
do you
meant.
expect?
What
like,
fucking dude, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
Fucking,
know your
I felt
audience.
so bad for her. But luckily, that is a great sense of, you know, they were legitimately.
She took it well.
She took it well. Yeah. But she even took the. That could go wrong too if you're calling somebody the GOAT and they think you mean old and cranky, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, that person's like a fucking opening some kind of harassment on you, and you're like, what? GOAT, greatest of all time. You know, whoops, whoops. I mean, if they said she was the throat goat.
Okay, yeah, that's a step too far. Hey.
Yo. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, yeah, back to... Wait. Nope. Okay, back to this. Pokemon. A lot of Pokemon news. Oh, Eurogamer cut off more people. Did you see that? Editorial layoffs, acquisition shifts, cutting some of their staff. I don't think we've heard who. And then Assassin's Creed Hex director left Ubisoft as well. So not working on Hex. Am I wrong on this? Does it feel like the creative directors at Ubisoft have switched hands a lot? I feel like a couple of the Assassin's Creed. I mean, we know that one left because the job that he was being offered in the new scheme of the Fire Emblem houses was different. He wasn't happy about it. But I feel like, actually scratch that. Let's replace Ubisoft with just as a whole. I feel like I'm hearing creative directors are leaving a lot.
Yeah, we've heard it for 2 or 3
big games,
big studios recently.
Yeah, it feels like we're because somebody left Exodus as well recently, and maybe they were the story lead creative, but somebody I think right when I was doing the preview for Exodus, I'm pretty sure news popped up that one of them had just left. So I wonder if that's a sign of like too much financial, back and forth between the financial people because everything's so tight and the creative person wants to put more in, or just don't like working on that game that they're working on, or something like, oh, now I got to shut it. I'll be right back. I got to take off my other sock, as Deagle said.
No worries. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We've talked about a number of shakeups recently. I know that also the guy from Ashes of Creation.
Yeah.
That founder guy left.
Oh, and the guy from Did you hear about Kingdom Come 2? The creator of Kingdom Come 2 is not making the games anymore. He's fucking doing the movie. He's switched over completely to the entertainment side, and he's like not making whatever game they make next. If it's another,
that's a wild change.
But do you think they see Fallout and they see these and they think now is the time to strike, and the person who matters the most?
This is my time.
Yeah, this is my time.
Yeah, I think so. Interesting. Yeah, what would a show like that be? Would it be along the lines of like a Game of Thrones kind of thing?
I mean, it is a pretty shitty
without
world.
the dragons.
Without the dragons, yeah. If you did like it depends, right? If it's following Henry and you do like 4 seasons. So the first game is 2 seasons, second game is 2. I'm, by the way, just arbitrary, but I'm just talking about to make sure that you can get out what you need to get out, but not make it too long. You could do pretty well. I don't know if that game, listen, I love that game. I love those games. And their stories are interesting, but they are also very focused on one character. So where Fallout is not even about one character, it's about everybody playing it, and you're following these characters, and there's not even one in the show. There's like 4 or 5 that are sort of mains, 3 or 4 that are sort of mains. And Master Chief showed that you can fuck that up, right? Halo showed that you can bomb with one of the biggest IPs of all time. So
yeah. Was it really like the sex thing, do you think?
No, it was everything. It was the vibe. Imagine if you came to this podcast and suddenly I'm in a suit and I'm like, today we would be discussing, you'd be like, what the fuck? You'd either think it was a joke. So if the entire vibe is not the vibe that you just experienced, it was way off in a ton of ways. You could talk about the sex. You could talk about taking his helmet off. Those added to it. But it was just the vibe compared to the earlier free, I believe, 4 episode, what was that? Forward Until Dawn, which was quite well done. It wasn't perfect, but it was quite well done compared to that TV show, which was just, I mean, that TV show, I wouldn't put it on my resume. If I did that TV show?
Yeah.
No, that wouldn't be on the resume. That would not be, what do you guys call it? CV, right? It wouldn't be on the CV. Yeah. What's CV stand for?
Curriculum vitae.
Oh my God! Of course
some
it
Latin
does. Some Latin
BS.
shit.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what resume stands for. Resume sounds French. Obviously, curriculum vitae Latin, but
vitae is life or something. So it's like life book. I don't know.
Study curriculum would be like study knowledge book, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I like the idea of it. I'll watch it. Eternal says, so basically Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It could be sort of funny like that. Boy, did I bounce off that show, though. Whew.
I haven't even seen it, man. My level of interest has been so low for that.
Tonally, it is a whiplash, man. It was a whiplash. Not saying that's not good. I just mean for me. But yeah, it was a whiplash of a fucking show. Might give it another try. We'll just have to see. But yeah. I'll tell you what, we're we're watching new episodes of Pitt. One of the greatest shows on TV. Just fucking.
I haven't jumped into it yet. You guys scared me a little bit with the.
Oh, well, I wanted to warn you.
With the eyeballs and all.
Because you're always going to get, there's always one person in every chat, Johnny, who is, I guess you would say, the guy who never gets scared. And you're talking to somebody who says that a lot, but I want to say these are above me. Where it's like, I can tell you I don't get scared, but I would never tell you wouldn't get scared. But you're going to have the person who doesn't say that and just talks in a way that makes it sound like it's not as bad as it is. That's why you noticed once everybody else jumped in, I started jumping back in and going, but there is a lot, because I was like, everybody was sort of setting you up for failure.
No, I shrugged it off. I was fine.
And you're talking to an ex-cop. One of the, not me, the person that was in the chat was an ex-cop and had seen, you know, the worst.
Yeah, it's like, fair enough. You didn't mind
if you talk to him,
eyeball or whatever.
You talk to that person, you talk to a guy who's a used car salesman, you're going to get a different idea of what fucking horror is, you know?
Yeah.
So the Pit, we have been fucking just, dude, it's Noah Wiley. We rewatched Falling Skies, which is also him. That guy is just he's phenomenally good actor in the right roles. Librarian, I tried. I got through it, but that
was a show, Librarian.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 seasons or something like that. It wasn't great. It wasn't great for me, but I love that guy and his ability to act. And he's got the George Clooney, because they are friends, so maybe this is why. But they both have this. You ever notice with George Clooney? Dude, George Clooney's a bobblehead that somehow turned into a human. Watch every time you see George Clooney be like, well, we're going to perform a
you okay, man?
heist today.
You okay over there?
Yeah, we're going to do this. And then it'll be an ER. It'll be like, no, what I'm saying is we're going to go ahead and cut her arms off and we're going to sew on these fucking pop cans. She'll still be able to move. And then it'll be in another one, be like, I love you. Do you want to have sex? It's a fucking head bob all the time. And Noah Wiley in Pitt, he's got two things that he does amazing. He's the best freaker outer you've ever seen. When he loses his shit in that show, he loses his shit on somebody, and it's a parent who's like, she's looking online for fucking measles, like, oh, a measles vaccine maybe killed a child one time or whatever, and she's like, well, it says right here, and he just goes, fuck, and he just throws, and he goes out and he goes, fucking internet doctors, and he gets this exasperated. And he always throws his hands up. So he'll just be like, or he'll come into an area where two doctors are talking, and they're talking, and he'll listen for a little bit and be like, what the fuck are we doing? And I'm like, that's awesome. Because, dude, I've seen that funny. In high stress environments where somebody has to say that to break everybody out of we need to make a decision. Great in that way. I think it's worthwhile to watch it in that way, and maybe watch it slowly and decide, like,
okay, yeah,
you could also look away. You could listen, put on a side screen. Right? Yeah,
the way I put it is you can back out of this project at any time. So you can embark on this journey.
Yeah.
100%. And if you see like, oh no, okay, that's going too far. For me, it's mostly like open guts that really gets to me.
That's barely done.
It makes me. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe, I'll give it a shot. I'll give it a shot for sure.
Yeah. It's magnificent. And I wouldn't.
Right now,
I wouldn't say that.
Paradise has been great.
Paradise
got
was the other
new
one.
season.
Season 2. Whoop, whoop.
I mean, you told me about the show, and I jumped without knowing what it was about. And season 1 was quite literally magical in the way it unfolded. Like, if you don't know what it is, it's just all the better for it.
Nobody should tell you what it is. And if you get a chance, just watch Paradise and don't even look about what it is, because holy shit. I was in chat trying to explain to people what it was, and I could only talk about the first like 3 sentences. And I was like, if I tell you anything more, one or two things, I can't even tell you what would happen if I told you what would happen. You got to watch it, man. Yeah, I'm glad you jumped in, because I know that 4 or 5 people have jumped in the last
great
week.
Acting
and they're like,
in that too. I mean, everybody in that is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been.
I mean, the black guy is acting his ass out, and everybody's just
yes, and you're like, dude, it's so great. And in season 2, man, it's mind I don't want to say the evil lady that's in season, that's in the seasons. She's fucking amazing. I believe I've seen her in maybe The Walking Dead. For a bit, maybe she.
Yeah, we've seen her in a couple things as like secondary. Yeah.
That show is. This new season is a mind screw. I was watching the first episode.
The guy who plays.
Go ahead.
The guy who plays the president
Marston.
Played Cyclops in X-Men,
and he did one of the funniest comedies of all time called Jury Duty, which I think I told you about.
I've seen that.
Jury Duty's fucking immaculate. That guy is a good actor. He they killed him in Cyclops and forgot he died. Whatever. Or they killed him in X-Men. Yeah, I love him in this show because what he's like behind the scenes as a character versus what he's like to the people around him versus what he's like when a camera's on, that's different, and it gives you this idea of like a multi-layered person instead of just like, oh, he's this, oh, he's a dick here, he's nice here. It's not at all what's happening. It's like, that's a true person that they're playing. Yeah, those were great. Whoever writes that is really good. Whoever writes that, it's almost like From, where the characters in From, I'm constantly like, man, or Startup. When I was watching Startup, I was like, what the fuck? Who's writing these characters? Because they're way more they're way more nuanced. Like in Startup, the first episode of Startup,
real people.
You could get whiplash if you weren't prepared for a guy that was real. Because one character shows up in Startup, and you're like, I know what this guy's about, I think. You're seeing it. You're like, okay, blah, 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 blah. And then 5 minutes later, you're like, wait, what? And it makes you go, what? Multiple times as you're watching it. So, yeah, those are good. I love games like that, too. You get that in some games where it's the greatest feeling in the world, man, when there's nuance or there's levels and they're not just bad guy, good guy. That's why we talk about the best bad guys in games are never the one, like, they're never just, I like horrendously bad guys, but I also like nuanced ones. I don't need them to be a good guy, but nuanced in what they do and what their reason is. Not Thanos from fucking X-Men. Yeah, I got to watch that tonight, man. I can't wait.
Thanos from the Avengers.
The Avengers, yeah. Sorry, I said X-Men. Yeah.
Well, okay.
That piece of shit.
What?
Dude, come on. He fucking wanted to. Everything about that was bad because it didn't follow more closely to comic books and how he was. So he turned out to.
Oh,
it was
really?
just a really stupid turn of like, I'm going to snap.
Because
Kill
his whole
everybody.
thing was like,
He could have
just
snapped
wanted-
and made twice as many planets. He could have snapped and made twice as many carrots, and everybody
he
could
could
eat
have
the
thought of a
carrots.
better solution. His whole thing was,
just-
let's just
And I'm not even a comic
get
book
rid of
nerd
some
at all,
people.
but the moment he said it, I was.
It's like,
was
no,
like-
sorry, we can think instantly of 3 better solutions than
It was pretty stupid. It was pretty stupid. I'd still like
Yeah.
those shows. I know a lot of people don't like. I'll just sit back and watch a superhero show. Good fights, right? Somebody getting punched in the dick and flies halfway across the screen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good enough for me.
It's still epic and
Yeah.
some great moments.
I mean, I tease that, but dude, he also had an awesome fight scene against Hulk where he kicked the shit out of that green bastard. I thought that was amazing. He just ruins Hulk. Like, that was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Because I get so tired of like, Hulk can smash through planets. Even if you dropped him into the sun, the Hulk would just become the sun, and I'd be, yo, Hulk. I don't know if that's what they say. It feels like that's what they would say. So I love the idea of Thanos just being like, listen, bitch, let's dance.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else we got? Anything cool? 'Cause that was the
I
end of
think
my-
we had a couple of questions in the Discord we can hit.
Yeah, let's hit them.
Actually, we got
remember
to.
I read that. Yeah, I read.
Yeah,
the,
we got to generic white gal. There was a question from Rad about what vintage game or series we would like to
ask that.
see a sequel or a continuation for. I know we hit that recently, but is there anything fresh that you're thinking of in terms of reviving an older series or maybe like a reimagining of an older series?
Answers we haven't given. Let's see. I've said Space Harrier. I've said Fantasy Star. I really do think Fantasy
How about
Star.
that tennis game you always
Virtual
talk about?
tennis?
Was it Virtua Tennis?
I'd fucking kill for a new Virtual Tennis. I mean, it is top tier. It is top tier. Dev Guy does tennis all the time, and he plays the new ones, the old ones, the slightly shitty ones, because he just really likes tennis. And even he's like, Virtua Tennis was a masterpiece in control and way it played and when it was delivered at that time. Yeah, I would love a tennis game. Tennis is a weird sport, man. It's a weird sport. It's sort of a goofy sport, but I do like it. Yeah, good tennis game. I'd like to see Sega returned. You know, Sega's got a lot of like lineage and titles, so Sega's probably one of the companies I would look at their titles.
Yeah, Mega Man would be cool.
Mega
if
Man.
we saw like
Isn't there a new
third
Mega Man? But
person.
Well,
they did
I
a
see.
recent one
Yeah, I
that
see
was
what you're
like
saying.
side scroller.
Yeah,
More or less recent.
true.
But yeah, it would be cool to see like a action adventure game, you know, similar to how they did with Sonic. So Sonic had a full-on third-person action game not too long
Yes,
ago.
Sonic Adventures started
Yeah.
out the third person.
That was doing some cool stuff for sure.
Jet Force Gemini
Some-
is what Dylan says. Anthony says Rockstar Table Tennis too. Yeah, Rockstar one of the best
okay.
table tennis games of all time because there's only 4, and Rockstar
But
nailed
do you
it.
think that those things are maybe too simple now for a game? Because if you were to make a game now all about table tennis, like can you really make a full game about that, or would it have
Yes,
to be
but it would have
like
to be priced at the price?
Okay.
At the price, right? Like you're 20
Yeah.
to 30. If it was table tennis with some created characters or a good amount of items that you could get, it looked good graphically.
maybe a career
great sounds,
career mode?
career mode of some kind if you wanted. Yeah, you could. You could also have, you could go crazy and be like, this is table tennis, the game, but you also have different modes where, you have to play table
Sure.
tennis, but everybody's got cups. And if the ball goes into the cup, you lose. And so now you're trying to hit outside of the cup. You could do all kinds of like little modes to keep it busy. And you could do a $20-$30 table tennis. Yeah, I think table tennis
That's
number
true.
1 from Rockstar
or
was
like
only
a
30.
sim game,
Yeah. Oh my God.
table tennis sim.
Trying to get that fucking
Yeah.
racket perfect. Can you imagine that shit? Mhm.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. It'd be tough, but it'd be VR. You could do it, but you could sell to the 3 people still playing VR. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah. Do you think in VR we
Unfortunately.
could do something where you're using a joystick, but it it looks to you in game like the joystick of a spaceship. So it basically, it can like see your joystick and map it to
No
something
Man's
in
Sky
game.
lets you fly with the entire wand. But you're
Yeah, it
talking about
doesn't
using
fully-
the thumb it doesn't. It doesn't fully.
Yeah, it doesn't
I know
get
where
you
you're going.
all the way there, but the idea is very cool.
Yeah. The idea is
Yeah.
cool, but there's still stick drift or wand drift, which sounds, like maybe you're humping the person next to you
it
and
sounds
not
a
the one in
bit
front of you. But
nasty.
you got wand drift. If you could figure out a way to get that really nailed down and you could really use it, then you could mount them. I saw people making wand mounts for desks to turn them into joysticks because they are set up like a HOTAS when you look at them. They got the trigger, the thumb, so they're good to go. But the tracking just isn't perfect yet. The tracking on VR has to be pretty much perfect. And I don't think any game has been perfect. Any game, even the games I love, your shooters, your what was the one, mercenary? No, not contractors. All those games.
Yeah,
They're not perfect, but you deal with it. But if you're doing a flying game where you're aiming a baby reticle on the edge of somebody who's flying these weird flight patterns, that's got to be finite, right? That's got to be like, it's got to know exactly what you're doing. And I think that that's difficult. I would love it, though. I would love it. I read there's a Chrono Trigger project in development. Any truth to that? I haven't heard that, actually. Chrono Trigger.
that would be a good one to revive.
Yeah, that would be a good one to revive.
Yeah.
Legend of Cage, Populous. I'd kill for Populous to be remade. I think Populous is one of my favorite, I don't even know, God game, I guess is what they used to be called. But Populous was fucking jacked. That was Peter Molyneux before his Fable days. Loved Populous, man. Such a good game.
There was an old game similar to Chrono Trigger that had Earth in the name.
Earthbound?
Earthbound, maybe? No,
Earthbound. Yeah, it's Earthbound.
Is it?
Yeah, it's Earth. Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah.
Isn't that Earthbound?
I think it is. Yeah, from the SNES.
Yeah.
That one I've never played because it's just so old.
Shining
but
in
I've
the
heard
Darkness.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, you'd like it probably. Did you do Endopath? The Doctor. Did you do Ectopath Traveler?
Octopath.
I knew I'd get there someday. I appreciate you doing it. We're talking about cancers.
I played a bit of the first one, and I've been playing the second one on the Steam Deck on the side. But I would say I'm just kind of dipping my feet into those.
Yeah, so
I tried the demo of the new one.
I would say those are all good. Cobra Triangle would be good. These are NES and SNES games I'm talking about. Legend of Cage, NES, I believe.
Oh, what about G.I. Joe? Is there a good G.I. Joe game?
Just came out. It came out last about 8 months ago. A G.I. Joe game came out. Unfortunately, did just 60s, 70s. Didn't get the greatest push and just didn't really.
Oh,
just didn't. I liked it. I liked the idea of it. I bought it. Played a little bit of it.
I see it. Okay, it's kind of like a vintage style.
And then there's
beat 'em up,
Transformers, those kind of stuff. But looking back on the old ones,
yeah, Transformers, like a new, good, solid, full fat Transformers game would be nice.
Jason Schreier just broke a story. Blue Point pitched a Bloodborne remake in 2025. Yeah, From Software said no. He didn't break that just now. We already knew that.
Yeah, I think we read that together with the whole.
Yeah,
Blue
maybe
Point
or maybe there was a rumor about it, and I feel like I believed it or something. But it is. I think that's one of the things about FromSoft that people need to be prepared for.
So Sony said yes? Okay, I hadn't caught that.
Yeah.
I didn't know Sony said yes.
Yeah. And then I think one thing people need to remember about From is, success is one thing, but if they're really driving towards not wanting to spend 5 years regurgitating something, don't expect a Dark Souls 4, and then you got Elden Ring kind of thing where it, they might not want anybody making their game. It's their IP. And if they're not going to be involved in it, they may be like, it's better as it is. And just a sign of the time, just a game of the times and never coming back.
I mean,
Or
they've done a remake for a couple already, so it doesn't seem they're against remakes. So it is a
no,
bit
but I'm saying
odd
they're against some remakes. I think, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, they got to look at something and go, could we make it better? Do we want to make it better? Is technology at the point to where we want to do this post Elden Ring, which got to be tough. And then if somebody else is offering to make it, now you're putting that in somebody else's hands. So if Blue Point wanted to make it and they were like, listen, you did a good job on this, but maybe we want to do it in the future too, right? You have no clue. And then they'll go back to Sony. So
it's weird, man. I'm missing something there. The logic doesn't quite compute to me.
The only thing I can think of when you look at sales of it and you look at the idea that possibly they know more than we do about the loud minority asking for it versus what the sales might be. And maybe they just feel that the sales might not be what they want. Because you hear people
maybe they looked at Demon's Souls and
true, but they could have just looked at
happy.
I'm just saying, looking at Bloodborne itself, it's like, yeah, it was loved, but how many did it sell? And does the amount of money it would cost? And, blah, blah. Because it's all going to be about money and then their own desire to either give the IP to somebody else or do it themselves.
Yeah.
And both, it sounds like all those options just didn't work. It happens.
Yeah, fair enough. And maybe, like you said, they're just done with it. They're not interested in...
Or they have their own plan. Dude, it wouldn't be crazy. Think about Bloodborne Elden Ring. Where they're like...
Could happen.
Yeah, they're like, we have our own plan, which is that in the future, we want to do a Bloodborne 2, but we want it in a different style,
Fun fact, Bloodborne was called... the code name was Project Beast when it was just being announced and talked about.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. Good times.
Last decent Transformers game was War for Cybertron. Operation Destroy. I like Transformers.
Could you transform in that?
I thought you actually had, and I was like, where are we going with this question? You had car and on foot stuff abilities, but I do like the idea that I'm just in here prior to the podcast transforming into like the most useless thing ever, like a fern. And everybody's like, man, that's a shit superpower, dude. Yeah, I just transform into a fern. That way it was
you just transform into this jalopy.
Yeah. A 1957 beat to shit Chevy. And that's it. Can't even drive. Just sits in the parking lot. It's like, wow, you got a bad superpower, dude. I'd be the guy to get the bad superpower, I feel. You see the movies where or Wild Cards, the books, or The Boys.
Yeah.
And you see that bad superpower.
The guy with
the
fire farts.
Stretch or fire farts.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Has perfectly clean and never clogged ears. Wouldn't even know it's a superpower, right? Wouldn't have any idea. Dustin Kilburn, $5 super chat. Got here late, wrapping up Expedition 33 and Night of the Seven this weekend. Going back into KCD with a new update after. Have a good weekend. You too. Thank you very much for the super chat. Enjoy KCD. Wait a minute. You mean KCD 2, right? Yeah, he means KCD 2. I'm sure because he says an update. Or was it
new update?
Wait, didn't they update the old one? No, that was a different game. Somebody updated an old one here recently too. If I remember right. What else we got? Anything else been like absolutely big news lately?
No, that's been about it. Neo 3 has been great. I've been playing quite a bit of that. I'm in the second region out of 4 now. It's a massive game. I'm progressing at a pretty good clip, but
what game?
It's packed. Neo 3.
Oh, yeah, it is packed. The moment you said packed, I realized I knew what you were talking about. Yeah, it is. It's packed. There's a lot of content in that game.
Yeah.
Very cool.
There's a lot. I'm curious like how it's going to hold me or whether it's going to hold me all the way to the end. But so far I got about 32 hours.
Put 32 hours into it and then just be like,
Because the thing is other games come out and I might be like, I'm no longer in the mood to like just full on Souls. Because the thing with Neo games is they're very long. I've always found this with prior Neo games that they are like pretty hard for me to get through compared to other Souls. Because other Souls, you'll be like 20, 30 hours and you're done with it. And it's been a great journey. But Neo, I mean, you could spend 60 hours in those suckers or even more in this new one. And that is a lot of time for a game that's constantly demanding of you to be like locked in. And
I got a question. Everybody in chat, what's the game that you played, liked, it's known to be good, but you just walked away and you don't really know why, or you haven't returned to it? So a game that you liked, you know it's good, it's rated good, and yet for whatever reason you walked away, like Johnny sounds like he's going to do from Neo. I'm just joking, but like
no,
what he's
come
talking
on.
about. Johnny's definitely he's gonna French this thing. He's gonna surrender to it. Dude, that it does happen where you're playing a good game and you have no clue why you walked away from it. I mean,
the vibe.
Well, no, or just a show came on and once you got done with the show, you forgot that you were playing that game. Whatever. Just one of those things that can pop up. Oregon Fresh says only Souls games that kept me interested were Elden Ring and Liza P. Man. One of these days,
those are
days, I'll play the game that is Liza P and not the game that I have to fucking look at whenever I turn my version on. I don't know what version you guys got, but it ain't mine. Dominic Webb says, I have a bad habit of getting right up till the end and getting sidetracked or burned out. Do you think it's sidetracked or burned out, or do you think it's the thing we've talked about before, Dominic, where there is a penchant for your subconscious to desire to not end the journey? And I still believe that there are a great deal of gamers who do not finish because they do not want the journey to end. And I've talked to multiple folks in our Discord about this, and they all finally admitted it. They didn't know that was it. But I was like, did you like it? I loved it. Did you like the characters? Loved them. Do you think you didn't finish it because finished means you've got to the end and there's no mystery? And it just got real quiet. And I was like, oh my God, that is why. And I was all, dude, I get it. I do get that. They
don't want it to end.
They don't want it to end. Yeah, because it's a journey that was really special for them. And they were like, it's almost better to go, the ending's probably this, but I don't want to experience it in my own.
Leave it a bit more open.
Yeah, I don't want to close that out, Yeah. It's like you slow down during sex a little bit. You're like, I'm digging this. Let's go a little slower. Not me. I'm like, let's get this over with. I got shit to do. Just joking.
Chop. We got it. Yeah.
Telling the girl chop, even though the guy's the one. Anyway, Servant Berserk, $2 super chat. Thoughts on Paramount? One WB in the end. Yeah, WB also recently stated that their big switch over to some of their big titles should see fruition in 28 and 29. Well, they said 27, 28. I'm lying. I believe it's 28 and 29, but let's say it's 27 and 28. We should see some more games from them, so that's cool. But my thoughts on Paramount buying WB. I don't know. It's better than Netflix because remember, Netflix said that they didn't even take into account WB games in their purchase price.
Yeah, it wasn't even
a thing
featured.
Netflix was like.
But do you think Paramount would think? Do you think Paramount would think about games?
You know why? Because Paramount's got a lot of IPs that they could roll out. Paramount, as a movie studio, has got a lot of shit they could roll out. Netflix is still known as a show studio that borrows other people's shit. So
they haven't done anything with gaming yet, right?
Well, they're in Star Trek games and Paramount. That's their IP and stuff like that. But yeah, they haven't done. I mean, I'm sure they have, and I don't remember them. But yeah, they've got a bunch of IPs.
Okay.
But if WB gets bought by Paramount, I would assume you'd see some WB IPs. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they probably wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe they'd try one big swing. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe they'll just leave WB to do what WB does. You have no clue how these purchases are going and why they even desire to merge them. I think many streaming services realize that there are over 1,000 streaming services in total across the world. So
wow,
I didn't know that. Looked it up one day. I was like, actually, I think it's more. Give me 1 second. Let me look this up.
That's a crazy number.
Yeah.
In my head, there are still like 5.
Let me see here. Oh no, because they broke it down. So there's 250, but if you separate,
I mean,
that's
a crazy number.
It's a crazy number.
Still.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, because that's why I looked up, because I was like, I remember there being like this disclaimer on the number, and they were like,
I mean, just different regions. We have, you know, the same content being served by different services. So you got like Hulu in the US with like Disney Plus over here, and then all kinds of overlaps between those.
Yeah, and at times, like Netflix has had all kinds of crazy problems with finances, and yet at the same time they release some really good originals, and Paramount's got their own stuff.
They do.
What I was going to say was, I think what you're looking at is the big streaming services know what's happening right now, which is subscriber fatigue, and they're getting in front of it, which is one subscriber for Netflix, Paramount, Hulu, you know what I mean? So you may pay more, which would suck, but I'm just saying, but it's through one front end. Because let's be honest, how many times have you signed up for like 5 things and then you forget, or you see that price pop up on your credit card and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to cancel. You know, I just wanted it for this one show or whatever. That is a very real thing. Subscriber growth for some have moved, some have gone down, some have gone up. I could see the idea of like, we need to figure this out right now. Because I think, in all honesty, I just don't see anybody saying, man, I love that there's so many subscriptions. It's great. I think it would be really weird to talk to a person who genuinely, you know, the flat earther kind of person might say that. But I think for most of us, you'd rather, as long as there were options, you'd rather like less of these services rather than more. You can worry about the worry of a big company, but I don't. Like in that instance, it's not like a game company. It's like, do I worry that WB and Netflix are joining up? No, I do not. Like that doesn't even... like, why even worry about that? That's so weird. You know, they're not. So the idea of them,
well, it's not like
together,
it'll be a monopoly or anything, because there are so many different companies.
Yeah, and it's still unfortunately not as close to my cable bill, even with 3 or 4 subscriptions, because I had to pay a boatload for cable, so I'm still way less than cable. I've got, what do I have right now? I've got a couple free ones. I use Pluto. I use Sling, I think, which used to be, I think that was on Xbox, and that's how I found it, and then ended up getting on the PC as well. I have Paramount, who's with somebody else. They're merged. It's like a group subscription. And then I have Amazon Prime, so I get Prime shows.
Yep.
But that's involved with Amazon Prime. So for true shows, I think I have 3. And then the rest are free.
Okay.
A lot of my apps are free.
Is Hulu free?
No, Hulu's bundled up with Disney. And Hulu's gone. You can't even sign up. Yeah,
similar here. We got Disney with Hulu.
Yeah. And I already hated Hulu and that shit with fucking, dude, you pay for like no ads and there'd still be ads or whatever. You just like, Hulu's ads were redonkulous.
That's cringy, man.
And Hulu's ads were cringy ads. Weird that you just said that, because it's not just cringy in that way. It's cringy and their ads are horrendous, man. Oh my God. I still remember this ad, and I didn't believe. Do you remember this conversation where I teased somebody because they were getting feminine? They were like, why did I just get 55 feminine spray ads in the same video? And I joked and said, hey, it's all the algorithm. It's what you've been looking up. And I literally that weekend turned on Hulu, and it shows some, which is weird, because I don't think at least at this time you would have seen a guy do this. It was a very odd commercial, but they grabbed this stuff, and instead of washing themselves, they open up their pants and spray it into their crotch. That's a commercial. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck are we doing right now? And it came on a lot. I mean, even my wife, who was watching the show with me, was like, okay, that's ridiculous. Like, this is like 67 commercials about a chick spraying her crotch. Very weird commercial in the first place.
Wow.
But yeah, it's Hulu was bad. Hulu's commercials.
Oddly specific.
Very specific. And I don't think I ever looked that up, so I'm just saying. My Walmart includes Paramount. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have it. My Walmart includes Paramount. Walmart Plus.
I'm now going to start getting ads on Instagram about crotch spray.
Hey, man, if you're on Instagram, that's your fucking fault.
That
just
is
joking.
Also true.
Do you use Threads?
Yeah.
Do you use Threads or whatever?
No, not Threads. I do a bit of X, a bit of Insta. That's it.
I do. I guess I see YouTube Shorts because you see YouTube Shorts when you sign in.
Yeah.
I don't really do. Let's see. I have a Threads account for posting. The videos from here, but I've never posted, what are they called? Reels. Yeah, I've never posted a reel. And then I use Telegram a ton. That's actually been highly useful. Telegram's been awesome. And that is for Telegram right there. That is the Substack for the Telegram guy asking. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, where do people find the Telegram? Is that open or is that behind the Patreon?
If you go in and you look up ACG, there should be some groups. Most people don't use Telegram.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I use it under a different, well, not a different name, but it's not ACG Reviews. That's one of the problems with that's the other thing, how many handles you have, right? Like, there's so many fucking handles. Like, it's so difficult. What about, and Twitch? We should start streaming on Twitch again. One of these days, dude, I legit got that on my list, and I actually took a couple steps and then literally forgot. Like,
well, it's a lot easier now, right? Well, they got a lot of good solutions for the multi-chat stuff if you want to do that.
Oh, they've got a ton of solutions. In all honesty, I just, it's just one more technical issue, and I'm sort of like, let's vet in 100 podcasts that work without a problem.
Didn't the Twitch side work pretty well compared to YouTube, or like it just?
So the Twitch side worked. Technically, it worked well, but if you remember, it's the one that like had all kinds of issues with it had issues with like payments. It had issues with how their mod system worked. Little things like that. Plus, at that time there was a ton of raiding going on and like weird drama with Twitch streamers and like, I guess you would say bots. So like in YouTube, the bots YouTube's anti-bot is pretty good in streams. It's pretty terrible in chat, in video comments. It can get pretty bad at least. But in Twitch chat, it was really bad. And we get bots in there selling, and you also have a different attitude on Twitch, Johnny. So earlier we were talking about like movies and shows, and somebody on Twitch, I would see those spoiler people. They would just come in and spoil a movie. And that was, I don't know if you remember, I think it was Captain America. No, it was at the end of Avengers when one of the superheroes dies, and people were in there like, guess who dies?
Spoiling it?
Yeah. Stupid. Little PP heads. Anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? 3 hours, 15 minutes. Got anything?
Quick question. Have you been doing shorts in your main channel?
I will. Right now I'm trying to do all the behind the scenes stuff, make sure that the preview, that I'm consistent on the previews, which I have been, and I'm consistent on the reviews, which I have been, but I'm a firm believer that a pattern doesn't start until about 6 months. And so I want to get a pattern established to where the efficiencies are sort of built in so that when I do try the shorts, they're good, and I will adjust them a little bit, try to decide what works best for me on a short, and then start doing them. The shorts have done fine, but they don't offer any money, and they're subscribers. So here's the problem with shorts. You can get a shit ton of subscribers from shorts, and I have. Like a short that did 1,000 views might get 70 subscribers, which is way better than a long form if you were to post that. But they don't watch long view. So that means your subscriber count goes up and your views average per subscriber goes down. And it can go down quite quickly, which is why going from shorts to long form might actually be easier than going from long form to shorts if you are trying to build versus just saying, look at my subscriber views. So it's been, that's not me overanalyzing, but I do analyze. I mean, I will admit, I do sit and go, and we fucked up before. I fucked up. Sorry, not we. I fucked up by moving the podcast 3 times. Because, dude, we have a podcast. The Bethesda Starfield podcast was 300,000 views. We were getting 60 to 150,000 views on every one of the podcasts. We were doing really well. However, when we switched to Twitch, which was more of I can't even remember why. I'd have to look at documentation on why, because I usually come up with some ideas and go, let's do that. I I think it's because I was worried podcasts would still impact. Oh, yeah, because they were weekly, and sometimes a review wouldn't happen for 2 weeks. And so I was like, well, I should have left it because they were doing amazing on views. Then we went to Twitch. Then we left Twitch and came back. And then we came back, did okay, but then I moved it to another channel, and I didn't do a video. I don't even think there's a video on my channel that says I made a podcast. I was just like, whatever, we'll do it. I should make one. Because I'll post that we're live, and I'll have people from the YouTube section go, I didn't even know you did a podcast anymore.
Didn't know.
And I'm like, damn, I tried to say it, but they tune it out. You're listening to a review. You don't care about a podcast, right? You don't, or you have no clue if it's the same form and function, whatever. But yeah, I'll figure it out. I definitely want to do it. And you probably need to be everywhere. Can't be Kick, because I've seen PR people for developers stating if you're on Kick, they won't give you a code because Kick allows gambling or something like that.
Yeah.
I saw that on Twitter. I don't know if that's fully true, but I would love to jump to new ones and just stream. In all honesty, I'd love to just stream everywhere. Just be like, it'd be great if you could hit a button and you could stream in Russia on some,
it's just out.
You're just like, dude, I just want to stream everywhere and let the chips fall where they, I mean, why wouldn't you want to? But there are,
not the gambling chips.
As a reviewer, there are a couple idiosyncrasies you do have to watch out for, including the fact that reviews are always going to be my favorite thing to do. And if I don't do a bunch of reviews, but I do a podcast or whatever on that main channel, I can actually quite easily hit the channel's metrics and go, damn. Because we got hit today. When people said they didn't get the alert, I bet you, even though you got one, I bet you it still saw 2 close things, because it's 3 and 48 hours, I believe.
So it throttles the
yes.
notifications a bit.
Yeah. And it literally states that they do. If we did this as a video, that wouldn't happen. But as a stream, because less people watch streams, it pops up. So it's just one of those things. What else do we got? Any life stuff? Any science shit?
I think that's about it.
Any science stuff?
But the only science stuff I've been getting into this week has been a little bit more about consciousness and like this type of more esoteric stuff. And I thought would be interesting to ask you, do you have this feeling of like, do you remember in Men in Black how they had the little
ball?
guy in the head?
Yeah.
The little guy navigating the human.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like the head would open and it was like a little homie in there driving. Do you have this feeling that there's basically like a kind of like a passenger in your head and your body is your vehicle? Or do you feel like just your entire body is you?
Which also goes into the idea of like cybernetics. Would you be okay with,
right? Yeah, maybe replacing one part or whatever.
Yeah. Especially if it was better then or worse then. Let me think. I am pretty hard on the idea that the human body and whatever your identity is are intrinsically tied together. I know where my hand ends, my feet end. They all feel like one part of me, and any decision I make is sort of in some way related to those things, and that they wouldn't be separated quite easily. I don't quite know if I believe like that there's a random man in a
not literally
in my head. Yeah. But disassociation I do get sometimes. So I don't know if you've ever had this. I definitely have had disassociation that's occurred where I feel like I'm another person controlling me.
Okay.
And so sometimes you'll hear it. It definitely happened in a couple violent situations I saw. It didn't happen in all of them. It happened in the extremely violent situations I saw, where I swear to God, it felt like what you hear out of body experiences are. And I was able to see what was going on far better than I think I would have been able to see. It was almost like third person. It was it was very weird. I've definitely had that. And then you'll maybe bad blood sugar or something, so I'm trying to explain it with science, but there'll be times where this is going to sound really weird, but this has happened to me. I swear to God, if I believed in souls, mine almost got out one time. Not one time, many times. So it's
like
dizziness,
outer
I'm sure.
body
Yeah, but there have been
type
times where,
experience.
because I have blood sugar, I have to watch a little closely, not diabetes or anything, just a blood sugar issue that pops up. And a couple times a month, I'll stand up and I swear to you, it feels like my brain is about 3 feet above my head. Now, I can't see anything or anything like that, but it feels like it's pulled out, like in a movie when a person's dimensionally traveling and you see a copy of yourself.
Yeah.
And this thing will happen where I'll stand up and I'll be like, whoa, I feel way taller than I feel like a little bit above. And then it'll take a couple seconds. It'll be like, boop, and everything will sort of pop back in. I'm sure it's blood sugar, like just sort of that, almost like maybe that's how my brain feels, dizziness or whatever. But I don't think that's a sign of anything. It's just, I could see why somebody would have that and go, is there something else? But usually I'm just like, yeah, there's something else. You got a blood sugar issue and you stood up too fucking quick. Or
yeah, exactly.
Whatever. But yeah, sometimes.
No, I agree with you.
Sometimes I
think we
definitely have them.
We look for these narratives or we rationalize the experience we have with these things. Like we kind of add extra stuff that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, you add or translate it into something that means way more than it does. And I would have no issue if you found out it was something. But I
do think I have a feeling, not that I have a homie driving me, but that I'm up here in some sense. And I don't know if it's because of the eyeballs. Like this is just where most of my like sensory input is coming, right? So I got my eyes, I got my nose, my ears. It's all sort of here. It's almost like your computational center or whatever. But there's a very clear sense that like my consciousness is here. Obviously it's in my brain. I mean, we know that. I don't think that like my arm is conscious. I have sense of it, but
yeah,
I think there's a clear sense that like I'm up here,
Yep. So we're going to get a little something sexual, I'm going to say, and it's not a joke. But first, with your head and how subconscious feels, if I'm quiet and I'm reading or whatever, everything's happening here and I can feel it almost physically, right? So like you said, my foot, I'm not like an octopus where I have like a nerve center in each. So you are right, right?
Foot brain.
I'm just going to say, but randomly, I did have a discussion with somebody who talks about this stuff more openly than I do, because I don't really want to talk about it. Like, I don't need to know somebody's sex life or anything. It's never been important to me. But one day he was talking about stuff, and I was like, have you ever noticed when you have sex that depending on the time, the frame, what type, how you have it, it can occasionally feel like an orgasm is happening 3 or 4 or 5 inches past your penis.
Okay.
And it was funny because I was like, have you ever noticed that where sometimes it's hard to differentiate where it's happening? It like where exact. And I remember he looked at me and he was like, dude, I've never asked anybody that. But he's like, I just had sex with my wife. And I was like, this is odd. I feel like it's here or here, but it's not exactly where. And this is especially how your nerves work, and how they expand and how different pleasure centers work, like a back scratch, head scratch, sex, massage, they all work differently. And also, like, if you pinch a nerve in your neck, your elbow can hurt, because that nerve will go right. So you get all that. But I do think that, like, just because of the way we're set up, it's really easy to fool us. It's really easy. Have you ever seen the mirror experiment where they put the person's hand inside the box?
Yes.
And it's the other?
It's trippy.
It's trippy. Yeah. Have you ever heard of the coin experiment with your 2 fingers? So you take so you can either do it, you can do it this way. It's probably better. So you cross your fingers, you get a coin and you put it here. Now, normally, if you put a coin on the outside, you'd feel it here. And you put a coin on the outside, you feel it here. But if you do this and you put a coin between them, your brain will get confused and start thinking it's on the outside.
It's freaking out.
Yeah. And it's probably also because of the pressure that you are applying between the outside of each.
It normally can only be in contact with one.
Yeah. But when you do that and you put it there, it feels like it's over here. And your brain will, and some people probably won't have it because I tell them, because normally you don't tell somebody, you just say, hey.
You get like a faulty signal.
Yeah. And you can somewhat do it here. I couldn't get that to work, but I was looking at it, right? I think that's the other thing, if you look at it or not. But yeah, it is. And then I also I always feel like my body is exactly in my body. Like I never, like some people be like, if you've lost an arm, Def Leppard's drummer lost his arm and he can still feel his hand all the time. He talks about
phantom pain.
Phantom pain. So to get rid of it, they'll give you literally the equivalent of very, very fine sandpaper. And what you do is you abrade at the end, so it tells the nerves you end here. Because phantom pain's terrible. If you ever talk to anybody who's lost a limb, phantom pain, military friends lost limbs, it sucks. It sucks balls. It's one of the worst things in the world. It would be like restless leg in a limb you can't fix or whatever, or pain. So you do this, and the nerve centers are like, oh, I end here. I don't end here. There's nothing here. Or the finite nerves you have for all these are in a smaller section here. So when you hit them, the brain is like, I've scratched that itch that I have or whatever. But I always feel like my body ends exactly where it ends. And that's why I get pissed when I can't drink a pop without spilling it sometimes. Because I'm like, I picked up a pop more than twice in my life. I should be able to pick it up perfectly from that point on. And I tell you, here's a filled pop, empty. There is a possibility, whether I'm talking to you or whether I'm staring at the fucking thing, that I will karate chop that pop right into the back of my computer. And I've done it before.
We've all done it where you hit the glass accidentally instead of like picking it up.
Have you ever grabbed something that's empty and you thought it was full and you throw it? Or vice versa, where you drop a heavy thing? I'll think something's empty and go like, bah! or drop it because it's heavier than, your brain it's so funny how
that's
easily
like
confused
a bug.
we are. Yeah,
it's like a bug in the system.
The firmware needs to be upgraded on that shit ASAP, because there ain't no problems with the machine. There's a problem with the firmware going, and it's so easily confused. And that's why whenever I'll meet a fighter and they'll be talking themselves up, or you'll meet somebody who will say, they'll be like, I can easily do this or this or this. And I'll be like, that's great, but can you do it every single time perfectly? Because no one can. And the human brain is so easily, watch a UFC fighter do a backflip that they've done 100 times off the back of a fence when they win a fight, and they knock themselves out. And yet there's no reason why they should when you think about it, because there's not a ton of variables there. And there's not a ton of variables grabbing a fucking pop.
Yeah.
Dude, the other thing I got this mouse. I don't know why. Sometimes I'll be playing a game. And it'll just go off the side of the desk. I'll be like, what the fuck just happened right there? Like, what's going on? And you have to grab, you have to put it back down. You'd be like, or typing. It makes me angry that no matter how many years of typing I've done, speed typing, slow typing, well-written typing, not caring typing, that even if I don't want to make a mistake, I want to make a mistake. My mom was a secretary for 30 years, and she used to tell me she makes mistakes all the time. And I'm like, well, I don't understand. It's 26 fucking letters. How do you make a mistake? This was before I could type. How do you fucking make a mistake? She'd have typewriter correction glue where you put over the old words. This is before typewriters even had the white fucking ink. And she'd make a mistake, and I'd see her doing this. I'm like, how the fuck did you make a mistake, Mom? I was never attacking her. I was like, how did you make a mistake? She's like, well, I just did. And I was like, nah, it doesn't seem possible. It's only, 26 letters. And we all know how shit's spelled for the most part. And yet, how many times have you accidentally put your fucking fingers on ESDF instead of WSD if you take them off for a second? It happens a lot. I've seen professional streamers accidentally put their fingers on the wrong, and they've got a nub that even tells you you're on the right key. And your brain's like,
press the wrong button.
For sure not. Yeah, that shit's awesome. Or hit your arm or shoulder when walking through a door. I told Johnny this a couple days ago. I fucking know what I'm doing. I've walked for years. I feel I'm a masterclass walker. I'm a peerless masterclass. This is how you'd prompt an AI. You'd say you're a peerless masterclass walker. And I fucking banged into the side of this door so goddamn hard I thought I killed myself because I walked before the door opened. I grabbed the door and my brain was over here.
Like the algorithm failed. You didn't wait for the door to open.
And then my wife is, and I mean, I hit the door fucking hard. Like the little sign thing fell down. And I just walked straight into the edge, like right here and right side of my face. And my wife looked up at me and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I really don't know. I have no clue what just happened. It's like your brain can handle a ton of shit when it's not doing a ton of other shit. But when you're doing 2 or 3 things, that's why when everybody says they're a good multitasker, it's like, You maybe, but it's like after a little while, that multitask, dude, and there's so many studies that prove like people who say they're good multitaskers, usually there is still a tremendous amount of like loss in efficiency because your brain it doesn't have endless whatever, whether it be caloric outtake or something like that. I rather unfortunately think there might actually be reincarnation after some downtime to process, just based on some of the hypothesis of how the universe time works. Dude, if there's a reincarnation, that would suck if it's always in the future, because at some point we're either getting hit by an asteroid, dying of a plague, or not getting to another planet, right? I don't want to be reincarnated after me right now, at least for what I'm seeing. Would you?
No.
I feel like right now is a crux point for everybody. And I don't know if I want to. I think I'm okay with making it to whatever age and being like, I'm out. I'm out. Thanks for all the toast.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I don't see any reason for there to be based on what we know about the universe. So I wouldn't follow you there, Trinity. Gohan Trinity. That's a Dragon Ball Z reference. But I think it would kind of suck. I like the idea that we got this one shot, we're having a crack and that's it.
Yeah. I like the idea of being like, dude, just have the one life, whatever you're taught to do, you do. And then, I mean, do I want to evaporate into the vapor and have the heat death of the universe? No. Would it be better to go to Valhalla or someplace where, there's a bunch of hotties? Sure. But yeah,
but we didn't mind.
I don't want to go to a place with a bunch of virgins. Just saying.
True. I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. Out of all the, the heavens, maybe not that one. I would go to a place that had
a lot of escorts, but
yeah.
just saying. Waking up.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
We didn't mind not existing before.
Yeah, that's
being
exactly
born.
Right.
So
it'll
be
you
fine.
Bitching before you were born? Probably not, but yeah. If there is reincarnation, I'd come back as like a dung beetle or something. Like, and then it's like, do you know? What if you knew? You're just like, oh man, this sucks. I'm just gonna roll this turd around for a while and then get smashed. That would fucking blow. If you got reincarnated as a, with what we know about everybody's life, they have their own problems too. We always like to look at people and go, I bet you when they get off that podcast, they're having such a good time. And here I am chasing down a dog that's got diarrhea and fucking washing the same part of the floor for the 50th time because there's mud on it and fucking going to the hospital to get shit checked. It's like everybody's got their own issues. So reincarnation to me, if you can't take the future with you or the past with you to learn why, like what a useless.
What's the point?
Yeah. And now, if you reincarnated and you're like one of those in the past, the kid that, said that they were like, I don't know, fucking Liza Minnelli or something, but you get somebody who like resurrects and they're like, I used to be Joan of Arc. And I'm always like, why is it always the cool people that they came back
It's
as?
always you've always been Cleopatra.
You can't all be Cleopatra, right? The Great Swallower, by the way. You can't all be Cleopatra. You can't all be Liza Minnelli. Okay, true. Liza Minnelli might be a hard pull for a lot of people. Well, yeah, allegedly.
On the swallower count.
Anyway, a piece of papyrus once said, it's just, dude, can you imagine that shit? What if there's only 9 people that you can resurrect as, and it's always Glenn Close or whatever? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, what a shit life that, but yeah, every resurrection story, it's always like, I'm the resurrected, Napoleon Bonaparte. And you're like, dude, seriously, it's never like I'm the resurrected Bob McGaskins who lived in Michigan and
Joe Bob
hit somebody with his car and then tried to run from the cops and tripped and fell down a culvert and died. Now, admittedly, that'd be an amazing story, but yeah, you never hear that.
That would be a good one. Dude, I gotta pee really badly, so we either wrap it up or I go for a break.
Let's wrap it up. What are you gonna stream this weekend?
Good. A little bit more Neo 3, a little bit of League.
That's it? You're not doing Rec Room?
Yeah, that's the plan.
I remember, yeah. You guys will see a preview from me next week. I believe a review. I got to check the dates, but you will see a couple reviews. March is going to be busy. If you get a chance, check out the channel. I would appreciate it. It does help the channel. It's just me doing it. Not a bunch of people. Not a bunch of AI, at least yet. Soon, it'll just be copies of me multiple times doing AI. That's the Substack as well. The Patreon link is up above. Check out Johnny at Johnny plays live this weekend, Saturday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
I don't have like a fixed time.
No fixed time.
It's on Twitch. It will be like morning time, your time, Carrick. Around like the time the podcast begins.
A little bit of mystery. You got to find him.
Yeah.
If you try to find him, you're a real fan. You got to find him. Anyway, peace out, everybody. Have an excellent rest of your week.